Welcome back to Spiritual Awakening. Tonight we embark on a journey that might sound like a riddle wrapped in an enigma tied with a bow of cosmic absurdity, yet promises to unlock a secret so profound, so liberating, it could transform your deepest anxieties into unshakable joy. Those who joined us in the previous video must have experienced the amazing difference these stories can make, with many reporting the deepest sleep they have had in years. Tonight's journey will go even deeper, plumbing the depths of a concept that has baffled philosophers and inspired mystics for millennia, the elusive yet utterly essential truth of voidness. Prepare to discover that understanding nothing might just be the quickest, most humorous path to understanding everything that brings you happiness. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you really like what I do here. And as you settle in, perhaps share your location and local time in the comments below. It's always fascinating to imagine our shared space, spanning across continents and time zones united by this quiet moment. Now let's begin our journey together tonight. Settle deeper into your space now, allowing the gentle whisper of your breath to become your most trusted guide. Feel the subtle rise and fall within you, a rhythm as ancient and unwavering as the turning of the cosmos. Let your shoulders soften, releasing any residual tension that might be clinging there like a stubborn wrinkle in the fabric of your day. As you exhale, imagine releasing any expectations, any preconceived notions of what tonight's narrative will unfold. You are simply here in this perfectly still moment, ready to receive. Tonight we delve into perhaps the most misunderstood, most comically perplexing, and yet most utterly liberating word in the entire Zen lexicon: voidness. Now immediately, your analytical mind, that tireless internal committee meeting that never quite adjourns, might jump to conclusions. Voidness, it might squawk with a hint of existential dread. Does that mean emptiness, nothingness, like a bleak, desolate wasteland where all hope goes to retire? Am I supposed to feel hollow because, frankly, I've already got enough existential angst from my daily commute? Thank you very much. This is the common, often humorous misconception, isn't it? We hear void and we picture a gaping chasm, a black hole of non-existence, a spiritual vacuum cleaner sucking away all that is good and substantial. It conjures images of nihilism, apathy, or perhaps a cosmic joke without a punchline. And to that, Zen simply offers a knowing, gentle smile. Oh no, dear traveler, voidness is not nothingness. It is perhaps more accurately no-thingness. It's not an absence, it's an absolute presence that defies fixed definition. Imagine a perfectly empty stage before a play begins. Is it nothing? No. It's brimming with the potential for 1,000 stories, 1,000 characters, 1,000 emotions. It's the space from which everything arises. Or consider a blank canvas. Is it nothing nonsense? It holds the boundless potential for every masterpiece ever conceived, every splash of color, every stroke of genius. It's the very ground of possibility. And yes, even that empty bowl we spoke of in our previous journey. It is most useful, most full of potential, precisely when it is empty, ready to receive whatever nourishment life offers. Voidness is the air itself, which seems like nothing yet without it. There is no breath, no sound, no life. It's the ultimate cosmic container, simultaneously empty of inherent fixed content, yet infinitely full of potential. The humor in trying to intellectually grasp voidness is palpable, isn't it? Our Western minds, meticulously trained in categories, definitions, and the relentless pursuit of things to hold on to, find this concept profoundly unsettling, almost insulting. Your ego, that cunning little internal publicist, will throw a full blown tantrum when confronted with its own lack of inherent solid self. What do you mean I am void, but I have a name? I have a job. I have opinions. I just bought new shoes. Are those void too? It's like trying to explain the concept of wind to a fish. It swims through it constantly, but tries to grasp it as a separate, tangible thing. The intellectual mind, with all its brilliant tools of analysis and logic, often finds itself utterly stumped when confronted with something that exists beyond its usual categories, something that is simultaneously everything and nothing. It's a cosmic riddle designed to break your intellectual circuits and invite you into a deeper, more intuitive understanding. You try to intellectualize something that must be experienced, and the results are often hilariously futile. And yet, it is precisely this understanding of voidness, of nothingness, that is the surprising key to unlocking profound, unshakable happiness. Why? Because most of our suffering, most of our anxiety, most of our frustration arises from our desperate clinging. We cling to ideas of who we are, to possessions we think will make us happy, to outcomes we believe are essential, to relationships we fear losing, to identities that define us. But if everything, including you, is ultimately void of inherent, fixed self existence, if everything is a dynamic, interconnected, constantly shifting process, like a single note in an endless symphony, then what is there truly to cling to? And if there's nothing solid to cling to, then what is there to lose? This is where the profound liberation truly begins. When you begin to grasp, ironically, the concept of voidness, you start to loosen your white knuckled grip on all the things you thought you needed to be happy, to be secure, to be complete. You realize that your happiness doesn't depend on obtaining more things, but on letting go of the desperate need for anything to be permanent or to be exactly as you envision it. It's the ultimate spiritual diet, shedding the heavy, often indigestible baggage of attachment, leaving you feeling lighter, freer, and far more adaptable. You become like that perfectly balanced desert fish, able to navigate even the most challenging environments with surprising ease, precisely because it isn't burdened by rigid expectations or desperate clinging. Its happiness is found in its very adaptability, its inherent connection to its environment, not in the fixed idea of an ocean. This understanding of voidness doesn't make life meaningless. Oh no, quite the opposite. When you stop trying to grasp at fleeting shadows, the vibrant, ever-changing dance of reality becomes clearer, more precious, more profoundly beautiful. It's like trying to listen to a symphony by holding on to every single note. You miss the melody, the harmony, the grand unfolding composition. But when you allow the notes to flow without clinging, without judgment, you begin to hear the true, magnificent music. When you realize that your own inherent self is not a fixed, isolated entity, but a dynamic, ever changing process, intimately interconnected with everything else, the walls of isolation begin to dissolve. And in that dissolution, in that profound sense of interconnectedness, lies true joy, true peace, true happiness. You are no longer separate, no longer alone, no longer desperately trying to build a solid fortress around a self that isn't really solid to begin with. Now, as you begin to settle even more deeply into your space, allow yourself to release any subtle clinging, any desperate grasping at thoughts, feelings, or even the idea of how your sleep should be tonight. Just allow your body to become incredibly heavy, sinking effortlessly into the support beneath you. Breathe slowly and deeply, and with each exhale, imagine releasing any last bits of tension, any lingering resistance, any need to be anything or do anything. Allow your mind to become vast and spacious, like the empty, limitless night sky. Don't try to grasp at anything, just allow everything to be. This profound, peaceful release, this gentle surrender to the voidness of the moment, is your true path to deep, restorative sleep and the beginnings of a profound, unshakable happiness. As you rest in that vast, open spaciousness, feeling the initial whispers of voidness, not as a chilling emptiness, but as a boundless canvas of potential, let's explore the most common human predicament. You see, while Zen offers us this liberating truth of inherent completeness, our human minds, wonderfully complex and often comically misguided, tend to misinterpret that fundamental no-thingness as a desperate, empty cup of suffering. This is where the plot thickens, dear traveler, because our relentless attempts to fill this perceived void ironically create more suffering than the emptiness itself. Imagine, if you will, the ubiquitous feeling of not enough. You know it, don't you? That subtle gnawing sensation in your gut, the whisper in your mind that says, if only I had X, then I'd be truly happy. If only I achieved Y, then I'd feel complete. If only I bought Z, then I'd finally belong. This is the perceived void, the sensation of an inherent lack and incompleteness that our modern world, with its relentless advertising and curated perfection on social media, constantly exacerbates. We are subtly, brilliantly, and often hilariously conditioned to believe that there's a gaping hole in our existence, and that hole absolutely must be filled. It's like being born with a perfectly full, perfectly useful cup, but being told by everyone around you that it's actually half empty or worse, completely shattered, and you'd better find some premium artisanal happiness liquid to pour into it pronto. And so we embark on the great filling strategy, often with a frantic, desperate energy. We chase acquisitions, bigger houses, faster cars, trendier clothes, the latest gadgets. We pursue external validation, more likes, more followers, more accolades, the coveted promotion, the approving nod from our boss. We engage in endless busyness, packing our schedules so tightly there's no room for a single stray thought, let alone a moment of quiet reflection. We seek constant stimulation, binge watching, endless scrolling, a continuous stream of entertainment, anything to distract from that quiet, unsettling feeling that something might be missing. We even chase relationships, hoping another person can fill that void within us, only to find that two half empty cups still leave us feeling, well, half empty. It's a relentless, often exhausting pursuit, isn't it? We're trying to fill a bottomless pit with a leaky bucket pouring in everything we can find, only to find ourselves perpetually thirsty, perpetually unsatisfied, perpetually just a little bit out of breath. Zen, with its profound, almost cheeky insight, steps in here to reveal the cosmic joke. The void isn't a lack to be desperately, frantically filled. It's an inherent, perfect, boundless state of being that is already whole, already complete, already brimming with potential. The suffering arises not from the emptiness itself, For how can pure potential cause suffering, but from our fierce resistance to it and our desperate, often comical attempts to fill it with external things that by their very nature are impermanent and cannot satisfy that fundamental yearning? It's like trying to fill the air in a room with more air. The air is already there, already full, always present. Any effort to add to it is futile and quite exhausting. The humor in our own relentless efforts to fill an unfillable void is something we can all acknowledge, perhaps with a compassionate, self deprecating chuckle. You promise yourself, just one more gadget, then I'll be happy. Just one more promotion, then I'll feel secure. Just one more relationship, then I'll be complete. And then, when you get it, there's a fleeting moment of satisfaction, a brief spike in dopamine before the subtle whisper returns. Is that all there is? What's next? It's the hamster wheel of desire, spinning faster and faster, leaving you perpetually out of breath and perpetually unhappy. The irony is delicious. The harder we try to fill ourselves, the more empty we often feel because we are trying to fill an aspect of our being that is by its very nature perfectly whole and empty of need in the first place. We're chasing a phantom when the treasure is already buried beneath our feet, or perhaps simply is our feet. This leads us to the profound paradox of fullness. True fullness, true contentment, true happiness arises not from endless accumulation, but from recognizing the inherent completeness that is already present in the void. When the cup is empty of rigid expectations, of desperate cravings, of the need for external validation, it is always already full of boundless potential, always ready to receive precisely what is needed without the added baggage of what it should be. It's the difference between trying to grasp a cloud, which slips through your fingers, and simply observing it drift by, appreciating its ephemeral beauty. When you release the need to fill the void, you discover the void was never truly empty. It was simply waiting to be seen for what it truly is, infinite, boundless, and utterly perfect. Remember our intrepid desert fish from our previous journey. It wasn't suffering because there was no water in its immediate vicinity. It was suffering from the idea that it needed water right now in a specific, predetermined way, and its desperate, inefficient thrashing against its reality. When it learned to let go of that rigid attachment, that frantic need to fill its environment with water, it could then calmly, wisely, and effectively move towards the actual sustenance, whether it was finding a pool or adapting to absorb moisture from the sand. The suffering wasn't the absence of water. It was the mind's resistance to the present reality, the mind's desperate attempt to fill and perceived emptiness. When it embraced its voidness of rigid expectation, it found its true path to happiness and survival. Now, as you begin to settle even deeper into this peaceful stillness, allow yourself to release any lingering need to fill your mind with thoughts or do something specific to fall asleep. Gently acknowledge any thoughts that arise, any worries, any ideas about tomorrow. See them as fleeting clouds drifting across that vast open void-like sky of your awareness. Don't try to chase them, don't try to push them away. Simply observe them, and then with each soft, slow exhale, imagine releasing the grip of desire, the need to achieve the frantic effort to fill anything. Embrace the quiet emptiness of this moment, not as a lack, but as a natural, profound space for rest, for renewal, for simply being. Feel your body becoming heavier, sinking effortlessly into the comfort beneath you, surrendering to the natural completeness that is already present. This deep, profound release is your path to the most restorative sleep and a quiet, unshakable happiness. As you continue to release the incessant need to fill that perceived empty cup, feeling the subtle shift as your awareness expands beyond mere acquisition, let's pivot our gaze to an even deeper, more fundamental source of human clinging, one that often feels as solid as bedrock, yet in Zen is revealed to be the most fluid, most surprising illusion of all, the illusion of solid self. This isn't about telling you that you don't exist. Oh no, that would be terribly inconvenient for things like ordering pizza or remembering your own name. Instead, it's about understanding that the you cling to so fiercely is not quite what you imagine it to be. And seeing this truth is a profound pathway to happiness. Imagine, if you will, the sheer amount of effort we collectively pour into constructing and defending this elaborate idea of self. You build it brick by brick from childhood, your name, your profession, your roles, parent, child, friend, colleague, your achievements, your opinions, your preferences, your past stories. Oh, the stories. We meticulously curate our identities, often like building a perfectly symmetrical sandcastle on a beach, only to watch the tide life's inevitable changes slowly, relentlessly erode it. This deeply ingrained human tendency to cling to a fixed idea of self creates immense rigidity. It fuels our fear of change because if I am defined by X, Y, and Z, what happens when X, Y, or Z disappears, it drives constant comparison. Am I as good as them? Am I better than them? Because the self needs a yardstick against which to measure its perceived worth. It's exhausting, isn't it? Constantly defending your sandcastle from the incoming waves, constantly patching up its walls, constantly trying to make it bigger, more impressive, more solid. Zen, in its radical, often eyebrow-raising view, offers an entirely different perspective. It suggests that this self you perceive as solid, as fixed, as a permanent, unchanging entity inhabiting your body, is actually an intricate, beautiful, but ultimately fluid illusion. It's not that you don't exist, but that you are not what you think you are. You are more like a wave on the ocean. It appears distinct with its own crest and trough, its own unique form. But is it truly separate from the ocean? No. It's simply a temporary movement, a dynamic expression of the boundless water. The wave has no inherent self independent of the ocean. In the same way, Zen proposes that our self is a fluid, interconnected, constantly changing process, a dynamic expression of the vast, interconnected cosmos, rather than a solid, isolated, independent entity. It's a profound, liberating trick of perception. The humor in confronting this idea is often immediate and deliciously self-deprecating. Your ego, that tenacious internal publicist, will be utterly shocked, perhaps even outraged. Wait, I'm not me. It might shriek with a voice that sounds suspiciously like your inner teenager having a tantrum. But who will sign my checks? Who will pay my taxes? Who will scroll through social media and meticulously compare myself to everyone else? Who will feel superior to that person who just cut me off in traffic? This is preposterous. My entire identity is at stake. My personal brand will collapse like a poorly constructed movie set. The absurdity lies in trying to grasp a self that is by its very nature ungraspable, like trying to catch the wind in a net. It can lead to a delightful spiritual identity crisis, where you find yourself laughing at the sheer effort you put into maintaining a construct that was never truly solid to begin with. And yet, here lies the profound paradox of the true self. When you gently, gradually begin to release that rigid, white knuckled grip on a fixed, predefined self, something truly remarkable happens. Your true, boundless, and interconnected nature begins to emerge. This doesn't lead to blandness, to a loss of personality, or to becoming a walking, talking beige blob. Oh no, quite the opposite. It leads to greater authenticity, profound adaptability, and a liberating freedom from the endless torment of comparison. It's like shedding a heavy, restrictive, meticulously designed costume that you've been wearing your entire life, only to discover that the real you beneath all the layers is far more vibrant, spontaneous, and utterly free. You are no longer defined by your roles, but you inhabit them with playful ease. Practically speaking, how does this understanding reduce suffering? By lessening the fear of failure, if I don't inherently exist as a separate fixed entity, what is there to fail really? The wave simply returns to the ocean. By dissolving the pain of comparison, if I am not truly separate from them, how can I compare? We are all expressions of the same vast ocean. And by embracing the inevitability of change, if I am fluid, constantly changing, then change is not a threat, but the very essence of my being, like the ever shifting currents of a river. When you understand that all phenomena, including yourself, are void of inherent fixed existence, you are liberated from the suffering that arises from clinging to their impermanent forms. You stop trying to make the wave last forever. Remember our intrepid desert fish. It doesn't cling to the rigid idea of being a water-bound fish when it's on land. Its self is fluid, defined by its present, moment-to-moment reality, and its ability to adapt not by a rigid past or a fixed identity. Its survival depends on its profound ability to not cling to a fixed aquatic identity, but to embrace its constantly changing circumstances with profound adaptability. It sheds its old script and writes a new one moment by moment. Now, as you continue to relax, allow yourself to gently observe your own sense of self. Notice how your mind tries to define you, to label you, to tell you who you are based on your job, your relationships, your past experiences. Just acknowledge these thoughts, these labels as fleeting mental constructs, and then with each slow, soft exhale, gently release those definitions. Imagine them dissolving like steam into the vast open air. Feel the deeper, boundless void of your true being emerge, spacious, interconnected, and utterly free from the burdens of a fixed identity. Allow yourself to sink into this profound liberation, preparing for ultimate relaxation and a truly peaceful sleep. You are more than you think you are. As you gently observe the profound fluidity of your own self, feeling the liberating ease that arises when you release the rigid grip on who you think you are, let's now turn our attention to the natural, almost inevitable consequence of that understanding no thing the true treasure. If our very selves are ultimately empty of fixed, independent existence, then what about all the things we cling to, believing they offer security, happiness, or define our very being? This is where the Zen path becomes wonderfully direct and often quite humorous in its simplicity. Imagine, if you will, the relentless human tendency to fiercely cling. We cling to our prized possessions, believing they reflect our success or define our identity. We cling to our carefully constructed ideas, convinced they are absolute truths, even when evidence suggests otherwise. We cling to relationships sometimes with a desperate fear of loss, believing our happiness is entirely dependent on another. We cling to our achievements, our reputations, our opinions, as if they are solid, permanent anchors in a turbulent world. This clinging, born from a deep seated, often unconscious fear of the void, is the wellspring of so much anxiety, so much fear of loss, and so much suffering when things inevitably change, break, or disappear. It's like trying to hold on to a cloud, isn't it? The harder you squeeze, the more it dissipates, leaving you with empty hands and a profound sense of frustration. We invest so much of our emotional energy in these ephemeral things, only to be heartbroken when they prove quite naturally to be impermanent. Zen's profound insight, often delivered with a mischievous twinkle in the eye, is that all phenomena, every object, every idea, every emotion, every relationship, every fleeting moment, are ultimately void of inherent independent existence. This isn't to say that things don't exist. Oh no, your beloved coffee mug is very real and definitely holds coffee. But Zen suggests it doesn't exist independently of all other things. It exists because of the clay, the potter, the heat, the concept of a mug, your perception of it, and countless other factors. When you look deeply, it's not a fixed, separate thing, but a dynamic, interconnected process. It's like watching a movie screen. The images of a dazzling sunset, a bustling city, a tear-jerking drama appear to be solid and real. But are they? They are simply projections of light and shadow, utterly void of inherent substance. The beauty and emotion are there, but they are not inherent in the light itself. The screen itself remains empty perfect, allowing all images to arise and pass. The humor in trying to apply this voidness of phenomena to your daily life is often immediate and delightfully absurd. Your mind trained to categorize and label will protest vigorously. So my prized vintage action figure, still in its original packaging, is void. It might squawk in disbelief. But it was a limited edition. It's worth a fortune. How can I truly enjoy it? How can I even display it if it's not real in the way I think it is, if it's just a fleeting collection of atoms and perceptions? Or you're telling me my brilliant idea for a new app, which I've spent months developing, is void, but it's going to change the world. It's going to make me rich. The irony is delicious, isn't it? We find true richness, true peace, not by desperately grasping at the illusion of permanent ownership or fixed value, but by letting go, by understanding that the true treasure isn't the thing itself, but the profound freedom that comes from releasing our clinging to it. The real value is in the flow, the experience, the interconnectedness, not the static object. Here lies the profound paradox of true treasure. When you release the desperate need to possess and cling to things, whether they are physical objects, abstract ideas, or even a particular outcome for your life, you become free. Free to truly appreciate the transient, vibrant beauty of things as they are without the heavy burden of fear of loss or the constant need to protect and maintain. That antique vase is beautiful, but its beauty doesn't depend on its permanence. Your idea is brilliant, but its brilliance doesn't depend on its perfect execution or universal acceptance. When you understand this, the suffering of loss begins to dissipate. If a cherished possession breaks, you might feel sadness, but not the crushing despair of a soul crushing identity crisis, because your identity wasn't tied to the object. If an idea fails, you learn, you adapt, you move on, because the idea itself was always just a transient thought form, not a solid cornerstone of your being. This transforms your relationship with everything less demanding, more appreciative, less fearful, more joyful. Practically speaking, how does this understanding reduce suffering in your daily life? It lessens the fear of loss because you know nothing is truly yours to begin with, not even yourself. It reduces disappointment when things inevitably break down or don't go your way because you expect impermanence. It dissolves envy because you understand that comparing your transient things to someone else's equally transient things is like comparing two mirages in the desert. It transforms your relationships, allowing you to love more freely without the desperate need to control or possess the other person, appreciating them as they are in their own beautiful impermanence. The true treasure is the boundless space that opens up when you cease clinging to the fleeting forms. Remember our intrepid desert fish. It doesn't cling to the rigid idea of a vast, boundless ocean. It appreciates the small puddles. It finds the temporary moisture in the sand precisely because it understands their impermanence. It finds its treasure not in fixed permanent possessions, but in its profound adaptability, its ingenuity, its ability to find sustenance in the moment without clinging to what was or what should be. It seeks its water by being in the flow of what is, by understanding the voidness of fixed expectation and finding abundance in the ever changing reality. It doesn't suffer over the lack of an ocean. It finds joy in the truth of the puddle. Now, as you prepare to sink deeper into the embrace of sleep, allow yourself to gently release any mental clinging. Notice any thoughts about your day, any worries about tomorrow, any attachment to your self image, any desperate need to hold on to a particular feeling or outcome. See them as ephemeral no things, arising and passing. And then with each slow, soft exhale, imagine gently releasing that grip. Let go of the need to possess, to control, to define. Embrace the profound no-thingness of this moment, this boundless empty space within you, as a perfect sanctuary for effortless surrender and deep restorative sleep. Allow yourself to float freely, unburdened, utterly at peace. As you gently release the frantic grip of clinging, allowing the beautiful no-thingness of all phenomena to reveal its inherent freedom, let's now journey into an even deeper, more deliciously perplexing, and often utterly humorous aspect of Zen, the profound, paradoxical nature of voidness itself, and how it brilliantly challenges our rigidly logical minds. Prepare yourselves for the sound of one hand clapping. You see, our human minds are magnificent instruments honed through millennia for logic categorization and dualistic thinking. We thrive on distinctions, this or that, right or wrong, real or not real, something or nothing. This serves us incredibly well in daily life. It helps us cross the street, safely balance our checkbooks, and successfully navigate complex social interactions most of the time. But when confronted with concepts like voidness, this very logical framework becomes a delightful yet frustrating barrier. Our minds, like a highly trained but stubbornly literal computer, simply cannot compute something that is simultaneously everything and nothing, full and empty here and not here, without its circuits beginning to smoke. This is precisely why Zen masters with their mischievous wisdom often present their students with koans, those famous enigmatic riddles designed not to be solved logically, but to utterly break through the intellect's limitations. The most famous, perhaps, is, what is the sound of one hand clapping? Your logical mind immediately screams, that's impossible. Clapping requires two hands. This is nonsense, it's a trick. And that, dear friend, is precisely the point. Zen isn't asking you to find a logical answer to an illogical question. It's inviting you to exhaust your logical mind until it surrenders, until it lets go of its need for neat, tidy solutions and opens to a different, more intuitive mode of understanding. Voidness in its essence defies simple categorization. It's not nothing in the sense of an empty void, but it's also not a solid, tangible thing that you can grasp, label, and put on a shelf. It is simultaneously empty of inherent fixed existence, which is the void part, and full of boundless potential, appearing as all forms, which is the form part. It's the ultimate paradox. Form is emptiness, and emptiness is form. It's like trying to describe the taste of silence to someone who only understands sound. Your intellect will spin, it will protest, it will probably conclude you're either crazy or trying to sell it something incomprehensible. The humor in this experience is something we can all relate to, especially if you've ever found yourself attempting to figure out a Zen koan or intellectually wrestle with the concept of voidness. Your internal monologue might turn into a comedic one-person show. Okay, one hand clapping. I'll just think really hard. Maybe it's the sound of the wind. No, that's two things. Is it a metaphor for solitude? Is it a trick question? Am I missing something profoundly obvious? My brain hurts. I think I just got a mental cramp. This is clearly not working. I must be doing it wrong. Maybe I need a more complicated koan or a simpler one. It's the delightful, often painful absurdity of the ego's tenacious resistance to surrender to the illogical, to let go of its need for control and understanding. The ego loves to be the smartest person in the room, and voidness, by its very nature, demands that the ego step aside and admit it doesn't know. But the purpose of these paradoxes is not to confuse or punish you. Oh no, they are brilliantly designed tools, like a Zen sledgehammer, to push the mind beyond its usual dualistic boundaries. They are meant to create a tiny crack in the edifice of your logical thought, allowing a deeper, more intuitive understanding to flood in an understanding that logic simply cannot reach. It's a koan for the soul, a direct invitation to experience reality without the filter of conceptualization. It's like learning to ride a bicycle. You can read all the books, analyze all the physics, but until you get on and experience the paradox of balance, constantly falling to stay upright, you won't truly understand. The koan is the bicycle, and this embrace of the illogical, the acceptance of the paradoxical nature of reality, is profoundly liberating. When you release the desperate need for clear, linear answers, when you surrender to the idea that some things simply are without needing to fit into a neat category, you free yourself from immense suffering. The anxiety of not knowing, the frustration of ambiguity, the pain of control all begin to dissolve. You open yourself to a more fluid, more joyful, more spontaneous reality where the world reveals its beauty not through rigid definitions, but through direct, unmediated experience. You understand that happiness isn't always found by following a clear path. Sometimes it's found by walking off the map entirely. Remember our intrepid desert fish. It doesn't try to logically deduce how it survives in a place without a river. It doesn't analyze the atmospheric pressure or the geological composition of the sand. It simply is, and it acts guided by an intuitive wisdom that transcends conventional logic. Its survival is a living embodiment of paradox, a fish thriving in a desert. Its very existence is a koan. Its profound resilience relies on bypassing the logical mind's insistence on how, and instead surrendering to the profound, inherent intelligence of its own being, even when it makes no sense to a textbook. It's not trying to clap with one hand, but it understands the profound quiet that allows its next breath. Now, as you settle even deeper into your peaceful space, allow yourself to release the need to understand or control your thoughts and sensations. Notice any lingering questions, any attempts to figure out the day, or even to figure out how to fall asleep. Just acknowledge them, perhaps, with a gentle, humorous nod, like you're watching a curious child trying to solve an impossible puzzle. And then, with each slow, soft exhale, allow yourself to surrender to the paradoxical nature of sleep itself. It's both active, your body working, and passive, your mind letting go. Release the grip of logical control, allowing your mind to simply be open and receptive to the vast, unexplainable quiet that invites profound restorative rest. You don't need to understand it, just allow it to be. As you allow the profound absurdity of the koan to gently untangle your logical mind, feeling the spaciousness that arises when you let go of the desperate need for answers. Let's now descend from the lofty heights of pure paradox to something far more visceral, far more universally human, the undeniable, often insistent rumble of the stomach. We're about to explore the Zen master's empty stomach and how a deep understanding of voidness affects even our most basic human needs, offering a surprising path to freedom from insatiable craving. You know the feeling, don't you? That primal growl, that insistent gnawing, that subtle shift in your mood when hunger truly sets in. It's a powerful driver dominating your thoughts, demanding your immediate attention, often making coherent conversation or focused work seem utterly impossible. And while hunger is a necessary biological signal, our relationship with it, and indeed with all forms of craving, for pleasure, for comfort, for recognition, for more, often spirals into a frantic dance of desire and dissatisfaction. We treat every physical sensation, every fleeting urge, as an urgent command that must be immediately fulfilled, often leading to overconsumption, emotional eating, and a perpetual cycle of chasing fleeting gratification. The ego, that tireless internal publicist, whispers, "You deserve this. You must have it now. Don't deny yourself." It's a relentless pursuit of fulfillment that often leaves us feeling paradoxically emptier, isn't it? Like trying to fill a bottomless pit with gourmet snacks. Zen, with its characteristic directness and its often startling simplicity, offers a radical, almost irreverent view of hunger and desire. It's not about denying your needs. That would be spiritual masochism and frankly quite unsustainable. Instead, it's about recognizing the sensation of hunger itself, not as a catastrophic absence to be urgently filled, but as a transient phenomenon, a pure sensation arising and passing away within the vast space of your awareness. It's about understanding that hunger, like all other desires, is ultimately void of inherent fixed suffering. The suffering arises not from the sensation of hunger itself, but from our frantic resistance to it, our anxious clinging to its cessation, and our desperate mental drama around the need for immediate fulfillment. The rumbling stomach isn't the problem. It's the mind's elaborate, often comical narrative about the rumbling stomach. The humor in trying to apply voidness to a very vocal, very physical rumbling in your belly is something we can all acknowledge, perhaps with a compassionate chuckle. You sit down for meditation, determined to be present, and suddenly your stomach lets out a noise that sounds suspiciously like a dying walrus. Your internal monologue kicks in. My stomach feels very unvoid right now. It's making very solid noises. Is this enlightenment failing? Do Zen masters get hangry? Is this a test? Because frankly, I prefer tests with answers and ideally snacks. It's the delightful, often futile struggle between the insistent bodily imperative and the calm spiritual insight. The ego, ever eager to assert its dominance, will demand immediate gratification, convinced that spiritual wisdom can only be attained on a full stomach. And Zen simply invites you to observe that demand, that craving just like any other thought, without judgment, without immediate reaction. Here lies the profound paradox of true nourishment. When you don't frantically chase satisfaction, when you step back from the desperate urge to immediately fix the sensation of hunger and instead simply accept it as it is, a transient experience arising and passing, you find a deeper appreciation and a remarkable freedom. True nourishment comes not just from the food itself, but from the mindful presence you bring to the act of eating when you finally do eat. It's the difference between mindlessly shoveling food into your mouth while scrolling through your phone and truly tasting each bite, feeling the textures, savoring the flavors, experiencing the gratitude for sustenance. The empty stomach, when understood through the lens of voidness, is always full of potential for the next mindful meal, for the next moment of genuine appreciation, unburdened by past cravings or future anxieties. It becomes a spacious vessel, not a gaping void. This understanding of voidness profoundly helps us manage not just physical hunger, but all forms of cravings and addictions, and the endless pursuit of external gratification that characterizes so much of modern life. It's about recognizing the transient, fluid nature of all desires. When a craving arises, whether it's for sugar, a new gadget, or validation, Zen teaches us to observe it, to feel its energy, but not to immediately identify with it or act upon it. You realize that the craving itself is void of inherent power to make you suffer. It's your attachment to it, your belief that fulfilling it will bring lasting happiness, that creates the chain of dissatisfaction. By simply observing, by creating that crucial space between impulse and action, you gain immense freedom. You are no longer a slave to your desires. You become the wise observer, choosing your actions consciously. Remember our intrepid desert fish. It doesn't suffer from hunger or thirst in the same way a human might, adding layers of mental drama and self-pity to its biological needs. It simply is hungry, is thirsty, and responds to that natural state without adding mental noise or frantic resistance. Its survival depends on accepting the sensation without being consumed by it, allowing it to act effectively, to move, to sense, to adapt. It's not attached to the idea of a full belly or a boundless ocean. It is profoundly present with the reality of its current state and the immediate available conditions. It recognizes the voidness of its fixed desires and finds its sustenance in the vast fluid potential of its environment. It doesn't get hangry, it simply gets mindful. Now, as you settle even deeper into your peaceful space, allow yourself to observe any hunger, thirst, or other subtle bodily sensations that might be present. Don't judge them. Don't try to immediately fix them. Just notice them, acknowledge them perhaps with a gentle, knowing smile, and then with each soft, slow exhale, imagine releasing the desperate need to immediately fulfill them, the frantic grasping for external gratification. Embrace the profound voidness of your body's natural state, the space that exists beneath the sensations, allowing it to settle into a deeper, more accepting peace. Feel your muscles softening, your breath deepening, guiding you effortlessly towards a profound, restorative sleep, free from the restless demands of craving. As you allow your consciousness to expand beyond the demands of a rumbling stomach, understanding that even fundamental cravings are but transient guests in the grand theater of voidness, let's turn our attention to an even more delightful and often comically overlooked aspect of daily life, the simple act of eating. We're about to explore mindful muffin voidless delight and how bringing present moment awareness to your plate can unlock a profound understanding of impermanence and surprisingly deeper happiness. You know the drill, don't you? Your day is a whirlwind of tasks, emails, and urgent demands. Mealtime often becomes just another item on the checklist, a pit stop to refuel before the next sprint. You grab a quick bite, perhaps a muffin or a sandwich, and eat it while simultaneously scrolling through your phone, catching up on news, or mentally planning your next 5 moves. The food vanishes, but the satisfaction remains elusive. You've consumed calories, but did you truly experience the food? This is the epidemic of mindless consumption, a modern ritual where we desperately chase deliciousness only to find it evaporates before we can truly grasp it. We eat quickly distracted and often find ourselves still feeling a subtle dissatisfaction, leading to overeating or a constant craving for more. It's like trying to watch a movie while simultaneously playing a video game and knitting a sweater. You're doing 3 things, but not truly experiencing any of them. Zen, with its gentle yet radical invitation to fully inhabit the present moment, offers a profound antidote to mindful eating. This isn't some strict, joyless diet where you count every calorie and chastise yourself for enjoying dessert. Oh no, that would be far too much effort and frankly quite counter Zen. Instead, it's a practice of bringing your full, unadulterated, non judgmental awareness to the entire experience of food. It's about truly engaging your senses, noticing the colors, the textures, the aromas before the first bite, feeling the weight of the food in your hand, appreciating the subtle sounds of chewing, savoring each taste as it unfolds on your tongue, noticing how your body responds with each mouthful, how the sensation of hunger gradually recedes, how the feeling of fullness gently arises. It's about being so exquisitely present for the experience that the food itself becomes a gateway to profound awareness. And this is where mindful eating becomes a powerful, delicious lesson in voidness and impermanence. You see the taste of that muffin, the pleasure of that bite, the sensation of fullness. They are all fleeting, aren't they? They arise, they are intensely present for a moment, and then they pass. They are void of inherent, fixed, lasting existence. Our suffering often comes from trying to make that pleasure permanent, to chase that exact taste, to cling to that fleeting sensation of satisfaction. We finish the muffin, and immediately our mind starts craving the next muffin or the next perfect meal, caught in a desperate cycle of wanting. But when you mindfully taste that muffin, truly inhabiting each bite, you experience the inherent beauty of its impermanence. You appreciate it fully, as it is knowing it will pass. The muffin itself is void of inherent deliciousness that exists outside your experience. Its delight is born in the mindful interaction, the present moment of tasting. It's like trying to hold on to a beautiful snowflake. Its beauty is undeniable, but it's only truly appreciated when allowed to melt on your tongue, not when desperately trying to preserve it in a freezer. The humor in trying to mindfully eat something as seemingly mundane, yet universally beloved as a muffin, is often immediate and wonderfully self deprecating. Your mind, conditioned by years of speed eating and multitasking, will likely protest. Okay, your internal monologue might begin with a forced earnestness. This is a mindful muffin. Chew slowly. Is this delicious enough? Why isn't it making me eternally happy? Is this Zen? This is just a muffin. A perfectly good muffin, but I'm still thinking about that email I need to send. Am I doing this right? Is my enlightenment level increasing with each chew? It's the delightful, often hilarious struggle to find profundity in the mundane and the ego's expectation of instant cosmic enlightenment from a baked good. Zen simply invites you to observe that mental chatter, that desire for more, and gently return to the simple act of chewing, tasting, breathing. Here lies the profound paradox of true pleasure. When you stop frantically chasing more pleasure, when you release the desperate need for food to provide lasting fulfillment, and instead fully inhabit the transient, fleeting pleasure of the present bite, it becomes infinitely richer, infinitely more satisfying. Less clinging to the idea of deliciousness, more genuine delight in the reality of it. You eat what you need, you savor it, and then you are free, unburdened by the constant mental residue of craving. This reduces overeating because your body's signals of satisfaction are actually heard. It increases your overall well being because you are present for the simple, nourishing acts of life rather than rushing past them. Practically speaking, this transforms your relationship with food and your body. Mindful eating reduces overeating not through restrictive rules, but by teaching you to actually listen to your body's true signals of hunger and fullness rather than the mind's endless cravings. It increases your satisfaction because you are truly present for the experience, absorbing every nuance. It helps you notice how different foods make your body feel, leading to more intuitive and healthier choices. It connects you to the source of your food, to the farmers, to the sun and rain, imbuing the simple act of eating with a profound sense of gratitude and interconnectedness. Remember our intrepid desert fish? It doesn't gulp water mindlessly driven by a panicked need to consume everything. Instead, it savors each precious drop, acutely aware of its impermanence and its life-sustaining essence. It finds true nourishment, true happiness, by being profoundly present with what is available rather than desperately chasing an idealized permanent ocean that simply isn't there. It lives its voidness of fixed desire and finds its sustenance in the mindful truth of the moment. Now, as you prepare to sink deeper into the embrace of sleep, allow yourself to bring this mindful awareness to your body's sensations. Notice any lingering hunger, any thirst, any subtle restlessness that might be present. Instead of judging them or trying to immediately fix them, simply accept these transient sensations without judgment just as they are. Breathe gently into them, acknowledging their presence, and then with each soft, slow exhale, imagine releasing any clinging to the idea of how your body should feel. Allow your body to simply be relaxing into its natural state of comfort, ready for a deeper, more peaceful rest. This gentle, accepting awareness is your pathway to profound restorative sleep. As you gently allow the delightful transient flavors of a mindful muffin to dissipate, understanding the inherent impermanence of all pleasure, let's now expand our perspective to a broader, more profound metaphor that perfectly illustrates the liberating truth of voidness, the screen's true nature. Imagine, if you will, sinking into a plush velvet seat in a darkened movie theater, the giant screen before you, a vast empty canvas waiting. Now think about your experience when a film begins. From the moment the opening credits roll and the first scene splashes across the screen, you are effortlessly transported, aren't you? You get utterly absorbed. You laugh with the characters, you tense up during the suspenseful moments. You feel a pang of sadness when tragedy strikes you, cheer when the hero triumphs. You might even find yourself yelling at the screen, "Don't go in there, you idiot," or "Just kiss her already." For those fleeting hours, the story, the characters, the emotions feel incredibly real, utterly solid, profoundly impactful. You forget it's just a projection of light and shadow onto a flat white surface. You completely suspend disbelief, mistaking the vibrant illusion for absolute reality. This effortless absorption, this temporary forgetting of the screen itself, is a perfect, often humorous analogy for how we navigate our daily lives. We become utterly absorbed in the movie of our thoughts, our emotions, our external circumstances, our personal dramas. We mistake these fleeting images for solid, independent realities. Your anger feels incredibly real, doesn't it? Your worries feel utterly solid. Your past triumphs feel like permanent achievements. Your future anxieties feel like impending doom. You get so lost in the plot of your own mind and the characters of your opinions and beliefs that you completely forget the fundamental screen upon which all this drama is being projected. This mistaken identity, this forgetting of the empty, unchanging background, is precisely what leads to attachment suffering and the frantic dance of grasping and resisting. You're arguing with a character on the screen, convinced it's a real person who can hear you. Zen, with its profound wisdom of seeing through illusion, invites us to recognize the screen's true nature. The movie screen itself, no matter how many explosions ignite upon it, how many tears are shed, or how many grand adventures unfold, remains fundamentally void. It is void of inherent characters, void of inherent plots, void of inherent emotions. It's simply a neutral, unchanging, perfectly pristine space. Yet it is precisely because it is empty, because it has no fixed content of its own, that it allows all images, every genre, every story, every triumph, every tragedy to appear to dance vividly and then effortlessly to disappear. The images, our thoughts, our emotions, our life events are profoundly impermanent, transient like fleeting dreams. But the screen, our fundamental awareness, the boundless voidness of our true nature, remains always present, always untouched, always clear, no matter what drama is being projected upon it. The humor in trying to remind yourself of this truth, especially when you're deeply embroiled in your own mental drama, is delightful. Your internal monologue might go something like this. Okay, this thought about my boss is making me furious. I should argue with it. Wait, no. It's just an image on the screen of my mind. It's void. But it feels so real, my stomach is clenching. How can a void image make my stomach clench? This is absurd. I must be doing Zen wrong. I'm still feeling the plot. It's the ego's brilliant, often hilarious resistance to acknowledge its own projections as fleeting, impermanent appearances. It loves to be the main character, to live in the drama, and it fights tooth and nail against the idea that the screen itself is the only true constant. But here lies the profound paradox of clarity. When you begin to realize that the screen of your awareness is fundamentally void of inherent fixed content, you paradoxically see the images, your thoughts, your emotions, the events of your life more clearly. You understand their impermanence. You witness their arising and passing. You see the intricate patterns of the plot. But you are no longer entirely captivated or tormented or defined by them. You gain a profound freedom, a liberating perspective. The world doesn't disappear. It becomes more vibrant, more real, because you are seeing it without the heavy filter of your own clinging. You are like the wise audience member who appreciates the movie, but never forgets they are in a theater free to walk out when the credits roll. Practically speaking, understanding this metaphor radically reduces suffering in your daily life. Less identification with your thoughts and emotions means less reactivity. If anger arises, you see it as a fleeting image on the screen, not a solid permanent part of you. You can observe it rather than being consumed by it. Less clinging to external events means less disappointment when they change because you understand their transient nature. It creates immense internal spaciousness. You become the vast, unblemished screen, allowing all of life's movie to unfold upon you, knowing that at your core, you remain untouched, perfect, and utterly free. You are the awareness, not just the content of awareness. Remember our intrepid desert fish. It doesn't mistake the shimmering heat hazes, those tantalizing mirages that dance across the vast empty canvas of the desert for real water. It perceives them as fleeting appearances, on the landscape beautiful perhaps, but ultimately insubstantial. It responds to the true nature of its environment, to the subtle scent of actual moisture, to the feel of genuine damp sand, not to the captivating illusions. Its survival, its happiness depends on its ability to discern what is truly nourishing from what is merely a passing image, remaining anchored in the fundamental voidness of its environment while navigating its realities. Now, as you prepare to sink deeper into the embrace of sleep, allow yourself to view your thoughts, your emotions, your physical sensations, even the sounds around you, as fleeting images appearing and disappearing on the vast, tranquil screen of your awareness. Don't try to hold on to any of them. Don't try to change them. Simply release your identification with them. Imagine them as passing clouds or distant whispers. And then with each slow, soft exhale, allow the background stillness, the vast, empty, perfect screen of your true being to emerge, welcoming you into deep, untroubled, and profoundly restorative rest. You are the screen. Let the movie of the day fade as you continue to surrender to the profound, liberating truth of the screen's true nature, understanding that all thoughts and emotions are but fleeting images projected upon the vast, untouched canvas of your awareness. Let's now apply this radical insight to perhaps the most compelling and often most problematic film we ever watch, our own life story. We delve now into letting go of the story and how understanding voidness helps us release our fierce, often self limiting attachment to personal narratives. Imagine, if you will, the sheer volume of energy we pour into constructing, polishing, and fiercely defending our personal narratives. You have one, don't you? A meticulously crafted storyline that begins somewhere in the distant past. I am this way because of X. My childhood defined me as Y. I am successful because of Z. Or perhaps, my suffering is unique and profound because of A, B, and C. These narratives, while providing a comforting sense of identity and continuity, can also be incredibly limiting, painfully rigid, and trap us in old patterns, preventing true growth and genuine happiness. You might cling to a victim narrative, constantly replaying scenes of past injustices, or perhaps a hero narrative, always needing to be the one who saves the day, even if it means sacrificing your own peace. We are, in essence, all amateur screenwriters, endlessly editing, re editing, and stubbornly clinging to our personal screenplays, even when they're clearly driving us to a dramatic and often unsatisfying climax. Zen, with its delightful knack for cutting through all unnecessary embellishment, offers a profound insight into the voidness of narrative. It suggests that your personal narratives, your life story, your very identity constructed from past events and future projections are not fixed, solid, immutable truths. Oh no. They are, in fact, fluid, impermanent stories. They are brilliant, intricate creations of the mind, meticulously woven tapestries of memory, interpretation, and anticipation, but they are not ultimate realities. They are empty of inherent fixed meaning, just like the characters and plots on a movie screen are empty of inherent existence. This understanding is profoundly liberating because it means you are not irrevocably bound by your past script. You are not a helpless character destined to repeat the same old scenes. You have the radical freedom to rewrite, to reinterpret, and to create a completely new story right here, right now, in this very moment. The humor in this concept is often immediate and wonderfully self-deprecating, especially when you try to apply it to your own deeply cherished personal dramas. Your ego, that tenacious internal scriptwriter, will be utterly flabbergasted, perhaps even outraged. What do you mean, my epic tale of woe, my carefully curated origin story is void? It might shriek with a voice that sounds suspiciously like a Hollywood agent who just lost a major client. But it was so impactful, it defines me. Who will I be without my carefully constructed narrative of the misunderstood genius burdened by the weight of the world? The absurdity lies in our fierce attachment to these mental constructs, even when they cause us suffering. We cling to our suffering as a badge of honor, our limitations as unchangeable facts, because they provide a sense of identity. The irony of finding true freedom by dissolving your own carefully crafted screenplay, allowing it to gently fade from the screen of your mind, is a uniquely Zen joke. And here lies the profound paradox of true freedom. When you begin to gently release your desperate, white-knuckled attachment to a fixed personal story, to the idea that your past irrevocably defines your present or future, you gain immense liberation. You are no longer bound by the chains of yesterday's script. You gain the exhilarating freedom to create new stories to truly live and improvise in the vibrant present moment, and to define yourself not by the dusty archives of the past, but by your conscious choices, your open heart, and your boundless potential right now. You transition from being merely a character playing a predetermined role to becoming the empowered author, the brilliant improviser of your own unfolding narrative. You are no longer trapped by the plot. You are the one who writes it, moment by moment. Practically speaking, how does this profound understanding reduce suffering in your daily life? It lessens the relentless rumination on past regrets or injustices because you see them as simply scenes from an old movie, not your current reality. It dissolves much of the anxiety about the future's storyline because you understand that the future is unwritten, a blank page waiting for your present moment choices. It loosens your identification with pain or limited labels. I am a failure. I am unloved, allowing you to experience emotions without becoming entirely consumed by them. It cultivates immense adaptability and spontaneity because you are no longer rigidly bound by a script that no longer serves you. You become more fluid, more responsive, more capable of dancing with life's inevitable twists and turns. Remember our intrepid desert fish. It doesn't cling to the story of its past life in a vast flowing river, lamenting its present circumstances. It doesn't carry the narrative of I am a water creature trapped in a land of sand. Instead, it actively brilliantly rewrites its narrative through its present actions, creating a completely new story of survival adaptation and unexpected resilience in the desert. Its profound success and very survival depend on its willingness to let go of its old story, to surrender its rigid identity, and to embrace the radical freedom of creating itself anew moment by moment in the face of the unknown. Now, as you prepare to sink deeper into the embrace of sleep, allow yourself to gently observe and release any lingering personal narratives that might be playing in your mind. Those old stories of regret, those worries about future plots, those fixed ideas of who you are or what your life should be. See them as merely stories being told on the screen of your awareness. And then with each slow, soft exhale, gently release them. Imagine them dissolving like mist, like words fading from a page. Embrace the profound void of the present moment, the vast blank page upon which your authentic being can rest unburdened by its own history, opening to the fresh, boundless potential of deep, peaceful, and truly liberating sleep. You are free to write your next chapter as you continue to gently release the clinging grip on your personal narratives, understanding that your life story is a fluid, ever-changing masterpiece. You naturally open yourself to a deeper, far more profound truth. We turn our gaze now to the mirror's true reflection, exploring how the radical understanding of voidness ultimately dissolves the illusion of separation, revealing our boundless, often comically overlooked interconnectedness, and finally melting away the pervasive sting of isolation. Imagine, if you will, the ubiquitous feeling of modern isolation. Even in our hyper-connected world, saturated with social media, endless digital chatter, and cities teeming with millions, the silent epidemic of loneliness often whispers, or sometimes screams, in the quiet corners of our hearts. We strive for connection. We post, we comment, we swipe, we attend gatherings, yet often we return home feeling just as separate, just as alone, as if we'd spent the entire day on a desert island with only a coconut for company. This pervasive feeling of separation arises precisely from clinging to that fixed, solid idea of a distinct self, and from perceiving every other person, every other phenomenon, as fundamentally distinct, separate entities. We build tiny, elaborate fortresses around our individual identities, then wonder why no one can get in or why we can't seem to get out. It's the ultimate human paradox, trying desperately to connect while unconsciously reinforcing the very walls that keep us apart. Zen, with its profound, uncompromising clarity, offers a radical, liberating insight. It suggests that understanding voidness, that nothing, absolutely nothing, has inherent independent existence, inevitably reveals that everything and everyone is fundamentally, irrevocably interconnected. If a single phenomenon, whether it's a thought, a tree, a star, or your very own sense of self, is empty of independent existence, it means it must arise in dependence on all other phenomena. It's a vast, intricate cosmic web where every single thread is connected to every other thread stretching across time and space. To pull on one thread is to affect them all. Imagine, if you will, an infinite mirror, or perhaps a cosmic hall of mirrors, where everything reflects everything else endlessly. In this grand reflection, there is no solid you distinct from them. There is only the boundless, ever-changing dance of existence, appearing as countless unique forms, yet all arising from the very same luminous, interconnected void. The humor in this is often immediate and wonderfully unsettling to the ego, that tenacious guardian of your perceived separateness. Your internal monologue might go something like this: "What do you mean I'm profoundly connected to everyone, even that guy who cut me off in traffic and then gave me a dirty look, and my annoying relative who always asks about my love life, and the politician I fundamentally disagree with? But I worked so hard to establish my individual brand, my unique identity, my carefully curated opinions. This is preposterous. My boundaries are dissolving. Will I still get my own private parking space if I'm one with the universe?" It's the delightful absurdity of trying to maintain rigid, separate boundaries when the fundamental truth of reality is boundless interconnectedness. The ego, ever eager to assert its distinctness, will throw a fit, but the truth remains you are far less separate than you think you are, and that's the greatest liberation of all. Here lies the profound paradox of true connection. When the tenacious illusion of separation begins to gently dissolve, when you genuinely begin to perceive that all beings, all phenomena, are expressions of the same underlying voidness, then genuine connection, profound empathy, and boundless compassion arise naturally, effortlessly. Isolation, that pervasive dull ache, is revealed to be just an illusion, a trick of the mind. You are never truly alone because you are intimately interwoven into the very fabric of existence. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to recognize your shared humanity, your shared impermanence, your shared essence. And in that recognition, in that profound sense of belonging, lies a deeper, more robust, unshakable happiness that transcends the fleeting joys of individual achievement. You are not a solitary star. You are part of an infinite galaxy, and every star shines brighter because of the others. Practically speaking, how does this understanding reduce suffering in your daily life? It lessens judgment of others, because when you see them as part of the same vast fabric, their perceived flaws become less personal, more understandable within the larger dance. It dissolves much of the fear of loneliness, because you understand that you are never truly separate, never truly alone, always connected to the boundless whole. It fosters greater empathy and compassion because their suffering becomes, in a subtle way, your suffering not in a way that overwhelms you, but in a way that inspires action rooted in genuine care. It cultivates a profound sense of belonging, a universal love that is not conditional but inherent. The walls of self imposed isolation crumble, revealing a boundless, welcoming landscape. Remember our intrepid desert fish? Though seemingly isolated in its harsh, arid environment, it is in fact profoundly intricately connected to everything around it. The shifting sands, the sparse moisture in the air, the distant whisper of a breeze, the fierce sun, the very ground beneath it. Its survival depends on recognizing and responding to this interconnectedness, not fighting its apparent isolation by wishing it were in a different reality. Its improbable journey is a testament to the profound, interdependent web of life, where every element, no matter how seemingly small or separate, plays a crucial interconnected role. Its happiness is found in its profound belonging to its unique, complex environment, not in a desperate struggle against it. Now, as you prepare to sink deeper into the embrace of sleep, allow yourself to gently observe and release any lingering feelings of isolation or separation. Imagine the boundaries of your individual self softly dissolving like mist in the morning sun. Feel yourself expanding, merging gently with the space around you, with the air, with the quiet hum of existence. Embrace the vast interconnected void of awareness, where all beings meet, where there is no true separation, only the boundless dance of life. Feel the profound peace of belonging, of being intimately connected to everything, utterly safe, utterly held. Allow this deep sense of unity to guide you effortlessly towards a truly deep, secure, and profoundly peaceful sleep. You are not alone. As you dissolve into the boundless truth of interconnectedness, feeling the profound comfort that arises when the illusion of separation melts away. Let's now bravely turn our gaze towards one of humanity's most persistent, most tenacious adversaries, fear. More specifically, we will explore beyond the shadow of fear and how consciously confronting the seemingly terrifying void of control ultimately dissolves deep-seated anxieties, freeing you to live with unshakable peace and surprising joy. Imagine, if you will, the pervasive human tendency to fear the unknown, the uncontrollable, the unscripted. We are, by our very nature, magnificent planners, strategizers, and organizers. We meticulously craft 5-year plans, budget spreadsheets, and meticulously detailed travel itineraries, all designed to exert some semblance of control over life's inherently unpredictable, gloriously chaotic nature. This desperate attempt to manage every variable, to predict every twist and turn, creates deep-seated anxieties that constantly whisper worst-case scenarios into our ears. You know the feeling, don't you? That gnawing worry about tomorrow's presentation, that nagging fear about an unexpected bill, that subtle dread about a future that refuses to conform to your carefully constructed plans. It's like trying to manage a hurricane with a single perfectly sharpened pencil or attempting to meticulously schedule spontaneity. The humor lies in the sheer futility of it all. We put so much energy into controlling the uncontrollable, only to find ourselves more exhausted, more anxious, and ultimately less in control than ever. Zen, with its radical, often eyebrow-raising insight, offers a profound antidote. It reveals that absolute control is by its very nature an illusion. Life is fluid, impermanent, interdependent, and perpetually unfolding, empty of fixed, controllable outcomes. Fear, particularly anxiety, arises precisely from resisting this fundamental truth. We cling to the idea of control, believing it offers security, but it only creates a cage of worry. Zen invites us to bravely confront this void of control, not as a terrifying threat, but as a profoundly liberating reality. It's like standing at the edge of a vast, unknown abyss and realizing that the only thing separating you from true freedom is your insistence on having a meticulously planned, step by step map across it. The void isn't trying to swallow you, it's simply inviting you to dance. The humor in this confrontation with the void of control is often immediate and wonderfully self deprecating. Your ego, that tenacious internal security guard, will throw a full blown panic stricken tantrum. What do you mean I can't control everything? It will shriek its voice, rising to a high pitched whine. But I have my 5-year plan, my backup plan, my backup to the backup plan, my contingency plan for the backup to the backup plan. My anxiety levels are off the charts just thinking about not controlling. This void sounds utterly terrifying. What if I fall? What if I fail? What if I end up living in a cardboard box on the street with only my meticulously organized financial spreadsheets for comfort? It's the delightful absurdity of trying to control chaos, of trying to schedule spontaneity, of attempting to grasp something that is by its very nature ungraspable. And yet, it is in this very struggle, this wrestling with your own frantic need for certainty, that the seeds of liberation are sown. Here lies the profound paradox of true freedom. When you begin to gently, courageously release the illusions of absolute control and embrace the vast, boundless void of its absence, you gain something far more valuable than rigid certainty. You gain true freedom and profound peace. Less clinging to specific predetermined outcomes means less fear of unexpected changes, less panic when the script of your life suddenly goes off book. You become adaptable, resilient, and profoundly responsive, rather than rigid and prone to panic when the inevitable winds of change blow through. You learn to dance with life's uncertainties, rather than constantly trying to wrestle them into submission. It's like learning to surf. You can't control the ocean, but you can learn to ride its waves with effortless grace, finding joy in the very unpredictability. Practically speaking, how does this understanding reduce the relentless anxieties that plague modern life? By lessening the fear of failure. Because if you don't cling to a fixed idea of success, then failure simply becomes feedback, a redirection. It improves decision making, not by providing a crystal ball, but by allowing for greater flexibility and openness to new information, unclouded by the need to force a specific outcome. It fosters immense resilience in the face of life's inevitable uncertainties, allowing you to weather storms without breaking. When you realize that the future is unwritten, a blank page of pure potential, you are no longer burdened by the need to meticulously script every single detail. You are free to simply show up, fully present, and respond with wisdom and creativity to whatever arises moment by moment. Remember our intrepid desert fish? It certainly cannot control the amount of water in the vast, unforgiving desert. It accepts the void of abundant flowing rivers and oceans as its fundamental reality. It doesn't waste its precious energy panicking about the lack of control over rainfall or the presence of a vast body of water. Instead, its very survival depends on embracing the uncontrollable and focusing its efforts on what can be done. Sensing subtle moisture burrowing into the sand migrating when necessary. It finds its happiness and its improbable success not by trying to control its environment, but by profoundly adapting to its reality, responding to life as it is not as it should be. It finds freedom and peace precisely in that radical acceptance of the void of control. Now, as you prepare to sink even deeper into the embracing comfort of sleep, allow yourself to gently observe and release any lingering fears or anxieties related to a perceived lack of control. Notice any thoughts about tomorrow, any worries about the future, any desperate need to fix or manage things that are beyond your grasp. Gently acknowledge them, perhaps with a soft, knowing sigh, and then with each slow, soft exhale, allow yourself to surrender to the vast open void of the unknown, not as a scary place, but as a safe, peaceful space of infinite potential. Feel your body becoming heavier, softer, trusting the profound, silent wisdom of sleep to guide you. Let go of the need to control and allow yourself to simply be resting deeply and profoundly in unshakable peace. As you continue to embrace the profound freedom that comes from releasing the illusion of rigid control, feeling your anxieties gently dissolve into the vast open space of pure potential. Let's now deepen our understanding of voidness by turning our gaze to something even more intimately connected to our daily experience, our very sense of self. We embark now on the river of identity, exploring how the flowing, ever changing nature of voidness liberates us from the often stifling grip of rigid identities, allowing us to find profound happiness in simply being. Imagine, if you will, the immense effort we pour into constructing and defending our personal identities. You cling fiercely to your labels, don't you? I am a your profession. I am a your role in family. I am your political affiliation. I am your favorite hobbyist. We weave intricate tapestries of past experiences, beliefs, achievements, and failures, convinced that these threads define us, solidify us, make us truly real. This rigidity, this desperate need to be a fixed, unchangeable entity, creates immense suffering. It fuels our resistance to change, because if I am defined by this specific label, what happens when that label shifts or disappears? It breeds fear of not living up to self imposed expectations, and it traps us in old patterns, making growth feel like a betrayal of who we are. It's like meticulously building an elaborate, perfectly symmetrical ice sculpture, then lamenting its inevitable melting when the sun of life's changes shines upon it. We spend so much energy maintaining these elaborate costumes of identity, only to feel exhausted and often profoundly limited by them. Zen, with its radical yet utterly liberating view, offers a profound alternative. It reveals that your identity is not a solid, unchanging thing like a statue carved in stone. Oh no. Your identity is a fluid, constantly flowing process, like a magnificent, ever changing river. The water itself, your essence, your fundamental being, your pure awareness, remains constant, always present. But the specific form of the river, its currents, its banks, its depth, the reflections on its surface, the landscapes it flows through changes moment by moment, season by season. It's not that you don't exist, it's that you are an ongoing verb, a dynamic process of becoming not a static noun. You are not the riverbed, you are the river itself, always moving, always adapting, always new. This understanding, this profound fluidity, is the very essence of voidness applied to self. The humor in trying to intellectually grasp this fluidity is often immediate and wonderfully disorienting to the ego, that tenacious guardian of your perceived solidity. Your internal monologue might turn into a comedic, existential panic. What do you mean I'm a river, but I just built this sturdy dam around myself? My career path is set. My opinions are fixed. Who will I be if I'm not the successful architect, or the perpetually stressed parent, or the person who always burns dinner? My LinkedIn profile will be utterly meaningless. My entire identity will evaporate like a puddle in August. It's the delightful absurdity of trying to freeze a flowing river, to capture the wind in a net, to grasp something that is by its very nature ungraspable, in constant motion. And yet it is precisely in this surrender to fluidity that true freedom begins to ripple through your being. Here lies the profound paradox of your true self. When you gently, gradually begin to release that rigid, white knuckled grip on a fixed, predefined identity, something truly astonishing happens. Your true, boundless, and infinitely adaptable nature begins to emerge unburdened by self imposed limitations. This doesn't lead to a loss of personality, to becoming bland or indistinguishable. Oh no, quite the opposite. It leads to greater authenticity, profound spontaneity, and a liberating freedom from the endless torment of comparison and the crushing pressure of external expectations. You become more vibrant, more genuinely you, because you are no longer trying to force yourself into a predefined, often uncomfortable mold. You are no longer acting a part. You are simply being in all your fluid, magnificent complexity. Practically speaking, how does this profound understanding reduce suffering in your daily life? It lessens the fear of aging or changing roles, because you understand that your essence remains even as your external form or responsibilities shift. It dissolves the pressure to conform, because your worth isn't tied to fitting into a societal box. It fosters immense resilience and creativity in the face of life's inevitable transitions, because you are no longer rigidly bound by a script that no longer serves you. You become more fluid, more responsive, more capable of dancing with life's inevitable twists and turns, embracing each new current with curiosity rather than fear. It's about flowing with life rather than constantly trying to paddle upstream against its natural course. Remember our intrepid desert fish. It doesn't cling to its old identity as a river fish, lamenting its present circumstances, or desperately trying to recreate an ocean in the sand. It understands instinctively that its self is fluid, defined by its present, moment to moment reality and its ingenious ability to adapt. It embraces this fluidity, transforming its very existence to thrive in the desert, becoming a desert fish. Its profound success and very survival depend entirely on its ability to let its identity flow, not remain rigidly fixed to a past environment or a preconceived notion of what a fish must be. It sheds its old script and writes a new one moment by moment in the face of the unknown. Now, as you prepare to sink deeper into the embrace of sleep, allow yourself to gently observe any clinging to specific identities or labels that your mind might present. Those thoughts about your job, your role, your past achievements, your future aspirations, see them as mere temporary markers, like buoys on a flowing river, and then with each slow, soft exhale, gently release those definitions. Imagine them dissolving like mist, like words fading from a page. Feel the deeper, boundless, flowing void of your true being emerge spacious, interconnected, and utterly free from the burdens of a fixed identity. Allow yourself to sink into this profound liberation, preparing for ultimate relaxation and a truly peaceful sleep. You are more than you think you are, and you are constantly becoming. As you gracefully flow with the ever changing river of identity, feeling the liberating truth that you are a dynamic verb rather than a static noun. Let's now confront perhaps the most formidable and certainly the most delightfully mischievous adversary on the path to embracing voidness, the ego. Prepare yourselves to embrace the cosmic giggle as we humorously confront the ego's tenacious resistance to voidness and discover the profound joy that comes from simply laughing at its absurd antics. Imagine, if you will, the ego. It's that ingenious, highly persuasive, often charming part of us that creates a fixed, solid I. It thrives on labels, on achievements, on being special, on having definitive opinions, on building its magnificent, carefully curated kingdom of self importance. To the ego, voidness sounds suspiciously like existential annihilation, a threat to its very existence, a cosmic eviction notice. It will fight tooth and nail against anything that suggests it's not the absolute center of the universe, not the main character in the grand drama of your life. It loves to be seen, to be acknowledged, to be something. So when Zen whispers about no self and the ultimate emptiness of all phenomena, the ego typically reacts with a combination of profound shock, outrage, and then a desperate, often hilarious attempt to co opt the very wisdom it despises. This is where the cosmic giggle comes in, a knowing, compassionate laugh at the ego's futile antics. You see it when the ego tries to intellectualize voidness, to categorize it, to put it into a neat little box, so it can then claim, I understand voidness. I am enlightened. I'm probably more enlightened than you actually. It's the ultimate spiritual one-upmanship, where the ego uses the very concepts designed to transcend it as fuel for its own self-aggrandizement. Imagine a Zen student trying to explain to their ego that they are now empty. The ego would likely retort, "What do you mean I'm empty, but I'm full of brilliant ideas and very important opinions, and quite a lot of stress about proving how intelligent I am? This voidness sounds suspiciously like losing, and my ego never loses. If I'm empty, will I still get my morning coffee? Will people still admire my accomplishments?" The absurdity is palpable, isn't it? The ego trying to become the master of nothing, only to become a master of self-deception. The humor in this internal struggle is beautifully universally relatable. You've felt it, haven't you? That internal voice that whispers, "You're not good enough," or "You absolutely must buy that new thing to feel complete." And then, when you try to apply a Zen principle, that same voice protests, "This Zen thing is exhausting. I'm trying to be detached, but now I'm just attached to the idea of being detached. My brain hurts from all this non thinking." It's the delightful, often frustrating paradox of trying to do Zen when Zen is fundamentally about undoing. But the genius of Zen is that it doesn't ask you to defeat or annihilate this cunning ego. It simply invites you to observe its antics with a light heart, to recognize its endless, often ridiculous dramas for what they are: fleeting, self created illusions. And when you can laugh at your own ego, when you can find the humor in its desperate clinging, and its absurd attempts to be special, you naturally loosen its grip. Here lies the profound paradox of liberation. When you observe the ego's resistance with humor and compassion, rather than getting entangled in its drama, you find true freedom. True happiness and peace don't come from eradicating the ego, because that's an impossible and often violent struggle. Instead, they arise from seeing through its tricks, from understanding that its pronouncements are not ultimate truths, but merely the shifting clouds on the vast sky of your awareness. It's like being at a comedy show. You don't fight the comedian's jokes. You simply allow them to unfold, and you find joy in the laughter. When the ego steps aside, when its voice softens, your true, unburdened self emerges spontaneous, adaptable, and profoundly connected to everything without the exhausting need to prove its worth. You become genuinely authentic because you're no longer pretending to be something you're not, or trying to be someone you think you should be. Practically speaking, how does this perspective reduce suffering in your daily life? It lessens your identification with those nagging ego-driven desires and fears. If you can laugh at your ego's craving for validation, the craving loses its power. It reduces self-seriousness, allowing you to approach challenges with more lightness, more playfulness. It fosters a boundless capacity for genuine self-compassion when you inevitably fail at being perfectly void or perfectly mindful or perfectly anything. You realize that your imperfections are simply part of the beautifully human, often comical journey, and that true Zen is found not in flawlessness, but in the willingness to keep showing up even when you feel like a complete spiritual klutz. The cosmic giggle reminds you not to take anything, especially yourself, too seriously. Remember our intrepid desert fish? It doesn't let its ego get in the way of its survival. It doesn't lament its fate. Oh, woe is me, I'm a river fish. I can't possibly live here in this ridiculous desert. This violates my very identity. It simply acts devoid of the self-important narrative that would prevent adaptation and survival. Its profound wisdom and its ability to thrive come from simply being the fish in the desert without the ego's need to define it, or make it special, or make its suffering unique. Its very existence is a living, breathing testament to the cosmic joke, to the inherent absurdity and profound beauty of being exactly where you are, without judgment, without resistance, and with a quiet, knowing chuckle. Now, as you prepare to sink even deeper into the embrace of sleep, allow yourself to gently observe your ego's attempts to control or define your experience. Notice any thoughts that begin with, I should be, or I must do, or I am this. Just acknowledge them, perhaps, with a soft internal chuckle, and then with each slow, soft exhale, allow yourself to release those efforts, to release those definitions, to release that rigid grasp. Embrace the lightness that comes from letting go. Allow the cosmic giggle to soothe you, knowing that your true, unburdened self is already perfectly whole, perfectly at peace, perfectly ready for a deep, profoundly restorative, and utterly unpretentious sleep. You are already enough. As you continue to embrace the profound delight of the cosmic giggle, finding joy in the ego's often absurd antics, and realizing that true liberation comes from observing it with humor rather than engaging in its dramas. Let's turn our gaze to a grander, more dazzling yet equally illusory stage, the empty stage of fame. This isn't about criticizing the entertainment industry. Oh no, that would be far too simplistic and frankly a bit too judgmental for our Zen journey. Instead, it's about acknowledging the intoxicating, seductive, yet ultimately superficial and profoundly fleeting nature of fame itself, and how a truly clear mind can brilliantly see through its dazzling, often hollow promises. Imagine, if you will, the vibrant, pulsating spectacle that is the red carpet. It's a dizzying tableau of glamour, a shimmering tapestry woven from flashing lights, bespoke designer gowns that cost more than some small homes, and adoring fans screaming your name as if you've personally saved the universe multiple times over. For those walking it, it's often seen as the absolute pinnacle of recognition, the ultimate external validation of their hard work, their undeniable talent, and their sheer magnetic charisma. But what is fame really when you strip away all the dazzling lights, the manufactured hype, and the relentless PR machinery? It's a collective agreement, isn't it? A shared, often fragile illusion that imbues certain individuals with an extraordinary, almost mythical significance simply because their faces are known, their names whispered in hushed tones, and their lives endlessly dissected in tabloids and on social media. It's a powerful drug, intoxicating and highly addictive, promising boundless love, universal admiration, and the sweet, comforting illusion of everlasting importance. But like any illusion, any heat haze shimmering over a vast empty desert, any fragile bubble floating effortlessly in the wind, it's fundamentally insubstantial, utterly ephemeral, and dissipates as quickly as it appears, leaving only a faint memory. It's a beautifully lit stage, but ultimately it's empty of any enduring substance beyond the fleeting moment. The profound problem for those who find themselves irresistibly caught in its mesmerizing glow is that this powerful illusion can subtly, imperceptibly become their primary reality. They might begin to genuinely believe the hype, to mistake the thunderous applause for true unconditional connection, the glowing headlines for genuine meaning, the public persona for their authentic self. They become tragically trapped in a gilded golden cage, constantly performing, endlessly chasing the next wave of adoration to maintain that fragile external sense of worth. It's a relentless, exhausting cycle, isn't it? Even for you not navigating the red carpet, the relentless pursuit of external validation, a promotion at work, a compliment from a friend, a certain number of likes on your latest social media post can become an insatiable hunger, subtly pulling you away from the intrinsic value of your own being. You are constantly looking for others to reflect your worth, rather than finding it whole and complete within yourself. Zen, with its unwavering, almost stubbornly persistent commitment to seeing things precisely as they truly are, offers a potent, almost comically direct antidote to this glamorous deception. It courageously encourages you to strip away the countless layers of illusion, to peel back the meticulously crafted facades, and to recognize the profound impermanence mujo of all phenomena, including the fleeting nature of fame itself. It's about understanding the fundamental emptiness, sunyata, of phenomena, not as a void of meaning or value, but as the lack of any fixed, independent, inherent existence. Fame, like every fleeting thought, every passing emotion, every physical object, every relationship, is just a collection of causes and conditions, a momentary arising and passing away. This doesn't for a single moment devalue the immense hard work, the raw talent, or the profound creative output that often leads to fame. Oh no, It simply recontextualizes its rewards, placing them wisely within a larger, ever changing, ultimately more authentic reality, free from the suffering of clinging to their ephemeral forms. The stage itself remains empty perfect, allowing all roles to appear and disappear, but the actor's presence in the moment of creation is profoundly real. The humor in this is deliciously poignant, a self deprecating chuckle at the human condition's grandest illusion. Imagine a globally recognized star, perhaps one who just topped a most influential people list, sitting quietly in their opulent mansion, trying to genuinely grasp the Zen truth that all this adoration, all this power, all this influence is ultimately empty and impermanent. Their internal monologue might go something like this: "So millions love me, my face is on billboards worldwide. I can get a table at any restaurant without a reservation. I'm basically a living legend, but it's all impermanent and ultimately empty. Does that mean my meticulously crafted brand, my carefully curated legacy, is just a cosmic joke? But hey, at least I wore a really expensive, perfectly tailored outfit for this fleeting, insubstantial moment of adulation. Perhaps my enlightened detachment will go viral and get me more followers." It's the ultimate self deprecating humor, isn't it? The profound, often hilarious struggle of achieving enlightened detachment from one's own superstardom, recognizing the ephemeral nature of the very thing most people spend their entire lives chasing, and then finding profound peace in that absurd realization. Here lies the delicious, liberating paradox of true radiance. The more deeply one understands that fame, like all phenomena, is ultimately an illusion, a fleeting projection on an empty screen, the more truly authentic, grounded, and profoundly impactful they can become within that very illusion. Precisely because they are not desperately clinging to it, because they are not defined by its transient glow. The relentless spotlight, instead of feeling like a suffocating cage of pretense, transforms into a luminous mirror, reflecting their true, unadorned being. When you are truly present and unattached, your genuine light shines through the ephemeral dazzle because it emanates from a deeper, more substantial source, your inherent voidness. This unforced authenticity, this radical freedom from the need to perform an identity, allows these figures to not just survive the relentless glare of the limelight, but to truly radiate within it, creating a deep, lasting connection with their audience that goes far beyond fleeting fame, built on the solid ground of genuine, unadorned presence. Remember our intrepid desert fish we spoke of earlier? It doesn't mistake the shimmering heat hazes, those tantalizing mirages that dance across the vast, empty canvas of the desert for real water. It perceives them as fleeting appearances, on the landscape beautiful perhaps, but ultimately insubstantial. It discerns what is true, what is truly nourishing, what is life sustaining from the superficial appearance. Zen helps us, just as it helps these famous individuals discern real connection and inner peace from superficial adoration and fleeting public opinion, allowing one to drink from the well of authentic reality, unburdened by illusions. Now, as you settle even deeper into your peaceful space, allow yourself to release any lingering attachment to external appearances, validations, or the meticulously crafted roles you play in your daily life. Imagine that any desire to impress, any need for approval, any clinging to a specific self image is simply a shimmering, distant mirage, like a heat haze on the horizon, beautiful but ultimately insubstantial. Feel your body becoming utterly heavy, profoundly comfortable, sinking into the truth of its own existence, unburdened by outside expectations or the need to perform. With each slow, soft exhale, imagine letting go of the need to be anything other than exactly who you are right now in this moment. Allow your authentic self, unadorned and perfectly complete, to emerge welcoming a deep, peaceful, and profoundly authentic sleep. You are enough just as you are, as you gently detach from the alluring, yet ultimately hollow stage of fame, feeling the profound liberation that comes from seeing through its fleeting illusions. Let's pivot towards a crucial Zen principle that offers immense freedom in our pursuit of wisdom and happiness, the unfixed path to wisdom. This isn't about aimless wandering or spiritual procrastination. Oh no, that would be far too easy and frankly quite unproductive. Instead, it's about understanding how the profound concept of voidness liberates us from rigid, predetermined paths, opening us to spontaneous insight and a far more joyful, adaptable journey. Imagine, if you will, the human tendency to seek and fiercely cling to fixed linear paths for spiritual growth, personal success, or even just daily happiness. We love our 7 steps to enlightenment, our 10 rules for financial freedom, our meticulously mapped roadmap to inner peace. We desperately want a spiritual GPS, a clear set of instructions that, if followed precisely, will guarantee our arrival at a desired destination. This rigidity, this desperate need for a fixed route, creates immense frustration and profound disappointment when reality inevitably deviates. Your guru's teachings might not quite fit your modern life. Your perfectly planned meditation schedule gets derailed by an unexpected deadline, or your meticulously chosen spiritual exercises feel, well, a bit like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. You try to force life with all its glorious, chaotic spontaneity into a predetermined spiritual recipe book, and often find yourself frustrated, convinced you're doing it wrong. Zen, with its characteristic irreverence for dogma and its profound embrace of paradox, offers a radical, liberating insight. There is no single, fixed, predetermined path to wisdom or ultimate happiness. Oh no. The path itself, like everything else, is fundamentally void of inherent fixedness. Reality is fluid, constantly changing, inherently ungraspable, and deliciously unpredictable. Wisdom, true insight, and genuine happiness arise spontaneously in the present moment, not by meticulously following a rigid map or a predefined script. It's like trying to find the path of a cloud in the sky. There is no fixed route, only continuous, effortless movement. The path is the walking, not the destination. The humor in trying to navigate this unfixed path is often immediate and wonderfully self-deprecating, especially for those of us who appreciate a good spiritual checklist. Your ego, that ever-present internal project manager, will likely throw a full-blown tantrum. What do you mean there's no fixed path? It might shriek its voice, rising in indignant protest. But I bought the book, I diligently followed the instructions, I spent money on spiritual workshops. Where's my spiritual checklist? Where's my guaranteed enlightenment certificate? This unfixed path sounds suspiciously like wandering aimlessly, and my ego hates aimless wandering. It's so inefficient. How will I know when I'm there if there's no there to begin with? The absurdity lies in trying to control a spontaneous process, to blueprint an unfolding river, to schedule an epiphany. Zen simply invites you to let go of the map and trust the terrain. Here lies the profound paradox of freedom. When you gently, courageously release the desperate need for a rigid, predefined path, you gain true, boundless freedom to respond authentically to each unique moment as it arises. Wisdom emerges not from adhering to external rules or past instructions, but from direct, unmediated experience from the wisdom of your own being. This leads to profound adaptability, incredible resilience, and a joy that is not dependent on achieving a specific spiritual milestone. You become like a master improviser in a jazz concert. You know the fundamentals, but you flow with the music, responding spontaneously, creating something beautiful and new in each moment, rather than rigidly adhering to a pre written score. Practically speaking, how does this understanding reduce suffering in your daily life? It lessens judgment of yourself for deviating from your own perfect path and of others for choosing a different route than yours. It cultivates a profound willingness to learn from mistakes because there is no wrong turn, only new experiences. It fosters greater creativity and spontaneity in your daily life because you are free to explore, to experiment, to dance with uncertainty. It builds a deep, unshakable trust in your own intuitive wisdom, knowing that the path reveals itself as you walk it moment by moment. You stop chasing a distant, rigid ideal and begin to appreciate the richness of the journey itself. Remember our intrepid desert fish. It doesn't have a rigid, pre programmed map to the next puddle or the next oasis. Its path is utterly unfixed, determined by instinct, by subtle sensory input, by its profound responsiveness to its ever changing environment. Its survival depends entirely on its willingness to embrace the unscripted journey, to trust its innate wisdom, not a rigid, linear plan. It doesn't cling to the idea of a fixed route to water. It simply moves, flows, adapts its every action, a spontaneous response to the present moment. Its profound existence is a testament to the wisdom found in an unfixed path where every movement is a step towards enlightenment. Now, as you prepare to sink even deeper into the embrace of sleep, allow yourself to release any rigid expectations or paths for falling asleep. Don't cling to the idea that you must sleep a certain way or achieve a certain depth of rest. Let go of any preconceived notions. Instead, allow yourself to simply be in the present moment, trusting the unfixed, spontaneous journey of sleep to unfold naturally, effortlessly. Breathe gently, feel your body softening, and surrender to the unknown. With each slow, soft exhale, imagine releasing any need for control, any desire for certainty, allowing yourself to float freely into the boundless, unstructured peace of profound, restorative sleep. The path is unfolding perfectly even in its unfixity, as you gracefully embrace the profound freedom of the unfixed path, feeling your spirit lighten as you release the need for a rigid spiritual roadmap. Let's now turn our attention to one of humanity's most persistent and often self-imposed burdens: suffering. We delve now into no problem, no solution, exploring how the radical truth of voidness fundamentally redefines our relationship with suffering, ultimately leading to a profound, unshakable peace that defies all conventional logic. Imagine, if you will, the ingrained human tendency to label experiences as problems. Your back aches, problem. Your deadline is looming, problem. Your coffee machine just broke, catastrophic problem. We are masterful problem solvers, aren't we? Our minds are brilliant at identifying issues, analyzing them, dissecting them into tiny pieces, and then frantically seeking solutions. This creates a relentless cycle of resistance anxiety and a pervasive feeling of being perpetually broken, always needing to be fixed. We spend so much energy trying to eradicate discomfort, to push away pain, to control every variable, convinced that if only we could just solve this one thing, then finally happiness would be ours. It's like being a perpetually frustrated plumber trying to fix a leak in the ocean. The effort is immense, the futility is profound, and the exhaustion is inevitable. Zen, with its characteristic directness and its often startling simplicity, offers a radical, almost comically dismissive insight from the perspective of voidness. Suffering itself is empty of inherent fixed existence as a problem. Now let's be absolutely clear, this doesn't mean pain doesn't exist. Oh no, a stubbed toe still hurts, a lost loved one still brings grief, a looming deadline still brings pressure. Zen isn't asking you to deny your very real human experiences. Instead, it suggests that the suffering, the mental and emotional anguish that often accompanies pain or discomfort arises not from the pain or the situation itself, but from our tenacious clinging to the idea of it as a fixed, solid problem that must be solved, and our fierce resistance to what is. When there's no fixed problem, no rigid mental label, then there's no desperate need for a fixed solution, and the frantic chasing can cease. The problem is often a mental construct, the added layer of judgment and resistance, not the experience itself. The humor in this concept is wonderfully self deprecating, particularly when your ego is confronted with it. Your internal monologue might turn into a frantic, exasperated comedy routine. What do you mean, no problem? But my back hurts, my deadline is looming, my coffee machine just broke, and I haven't had caffeine in hours. These are very real, very solid problems. Is Zen just telling me to ignore everything and become a passive lump? This no problem, no solution sounds suspiciously like apathy, and my ego absolutely hates apathy. It thrives on challenges. What will I do if I don't have problems to solve? I'll be utterly bored and my self worth will plummet. The absurdity lies in trying to philosophize away a headache or logically dismiss a demanding task, when the Zen teaching is far more subtle. It's about seeing the problemness as a choice, a mental overlay, rather than an inherent quality of the situation. It's about letting go of the internal wrestling match with the problem. Here lies the profound paradox of true peace. When you gently, gradually release the desperate need to label every discomfort as a problem that must be immediately fixed, you find a profound, unshakable peace. This peace arises not by eradicating all challenges from your life, for that is an impossible and frankly quite dull aspiration, but by radically accepting what is. It's about allowing your body to feel discomfort without adding layers of mental drama about it. It's about facing a demanding task without labeling it as an insurmountable obstacle. This acceptance, this cessation of internal resistance, creates immense spaciousness. It allows for compassionate, skillful action without the internal turmoil. You're no longer fighting with reality, you're dancing with it. Practically speaking, how does this profound understanding reduce suffering in your daily life? It lessens your identification with pain because you see it as a sensation, not a reflection of your inadequacy. It reduces internal struggle because you stop battling with your thoughts and emotions, allowing them to flow. It fosters immense resilience because you learn to respond skillfully to life's challenges rather than reacting painfully to them as problems. When you don't cling to the idea of problem, you are free to simply be with the experience, and from that place of presence, a natural, often unexpected solution might emerge, or you might find that the problem itself dissipates when it's no longer fueled by your resistance. You learn to ride the waves of life rather than constantly trying to flatten them. Remember our intrepid desert fish. It doesn't perceive lack of water as an insurmountable problem that needs a grand external solution to fix its inherent brokenness. It simply experiences its reality, the dryness, the heat, the need for moisture, as it is. Its survival isn't about solving a fixed static problem, but about continuous fluid adaptation to what is. It doesn't lament its condition. It responds to it with ingenious wisdom. Its incredible resilience, its very existence, is a testament to its understanding that the problem of a waterless desert is simply its reality, and its solution is an ongoing process of being present and adapting. It finds its happiness not in solving a non existent problem, but in living authentically within its unique, paradoxical existence. Now, as you prepare to sink even deeper into the embracing comfort of sleep, allow yourself to gently observe any discomfort, any mental problems that might be lingering in your awareness. Notice any thoughts about your physical state, your worries, your to-do lists, and then with each soft, slow exhale, gently release the need to label them as problems that must be fixed. Embrace the profound void of labels, allowing your mind to settle into a deeper, accepting peace. Trust that your body knows what to do. Surrender to the vast open space within you, allowing yourself to drift effortlessly into profound restorative sleep, unburdened by the relentless quest for solutions. There is no problem, only this peaceful moment. As you continue to release the burden of problems and embrace the liberating truth that every moment simply is unburdened by labels, let's now refine our perception even further, turning our attention to the very fabric of our auditory world. We journey now into the great silence's symphony, exploring how true profound listening involves embracing the subtle, often overlooked void that exists between sounds, revealing a richness you never knew was there. Imagine, if you will, the overwhelming cacophony of modern life. Your senses are constantly bombarded, aren't they? The relentless ding of notifications, the distant hum of traffic, the incessant chatter of social media, the demanding internal monologue that plays on a loop in your mind. We live in a world saturated with noise, a constant auditory buffet that often leads to fragmented listening, an inability to truly hear deeply, or even a desperate avoidance of silence itself. We fill every quiet moment with podcasts, music, or the endless scroll, convinced that silence is somehow a void that must be filled, a sign of emptiness or worse, boredom. It's like trying to appreciate a masterpiece painting by only focusing on the brushstrokes, completely missing the vast empty spaces that give the art its depth and meaning. We're so busy listening to the individual notes, we completely miss the profound beauty of the symphony itself. Zen, with its exquisite sensitivity to the subtle and the unseen, offers a radical invitation to true listening. It suggests that real hearing involves not just perceiving individual sounds, but profoundly embracing the void between the sounds. It's about recognizing the deep, resonant silence from which all sound arises and to which it ultimately returns. This emptiness between the notes, between the words, between the moments of activity, is not an absence. It's a rich, vibrant, ever present presence. It's like the space within a perfectly designed concert hall. The hall itself is empty of sound, yet it's precisely that emptiness that allows the music to resonate, to expand, to fill the space with its full, rich symphony. True listening means hearing the unhearable, perceiving the profound depth of the silence that underpins all sound. The humor in trying to actively listen to silence is often immediate and wonderfully self deprecating. Your ego, ever averse to anything that isn't a direct quantifiable experience, will likely squawk in protest. Silence. But what if I miss something important? What if my thoughts get too loud in the quiet? This great silence sounds suspiciously like profound boredom, and my ego hates boredom. Is this enlightenment I hear? Nothing. And frankly, nothing isn't very entertaining. It's the delightful absurdity of trying to do silence, to grasp it, to analyze it, when silence is simply what is, when you release your frantic pursuit of sound. And yet, it is in that very humorous struggle that you begin to glimpse the profound richness that exists beyond the usual auditory landscape. Here lies the profound paradox of true hearing. When you courageously embrace the void between sounds, when you lean into the vastness of silence, sounds themselves paradoxically become clearer, richer, and more meaningful. You hear not just the notes, but the resonance, the space, the delicate nuances, the profound interconnectedness. It's like turning down the background noise of a chaotic room so you can finally hear the subtle, important conversation happening in the foreground. This profound listening extends beyond mere sound. It applies to conversations, to nature, to the quiet whispers of your own intuition. You hear not just the words, but the meaning behind them, not just the bird song, but the vast silent backdrop of the forest that gives it form. Practically speaking, how does this profound understanding reduce suffering in your daily life? It means you become less overwhelmed by the incessant noise of the modern world because you realize that the silence is always there, always accessible, a refuge within the cacophony. It cultivates a much deeper appreciation for quiet moments, allowing them to nourish your spirit rather than making you restless. It fosters a greater capacity for deep, empathetic listening in your conversations, allowing you to truly hear others, not just their words, but their unspoken feelings, their true essence. This in turn builds deeper connections, reduces misunderstandings, and cultivates profound peace in your interactions. You become a masterful conductor of your own auditory experience, directing the symphony of your attention. Remember our intrepid desert fish. It doesn't rely on the sounds of a rushing river or the crashing of ocean waves. Its very survival depends on perceiving the profound silence of the desert, and within that void of conventional sound, it detects the subtle vibrations, the whispers of moisture deep beneath the sand, the faint cues for survival. Its true listening, its very existence, is found not in noise, but in its exquisite sensitivity to the profound underlying silence that reveals the hidden truths of its environment. It hears the subtle symphony of the void and thrives. Now, as you prepare to sink even deeper into the embrace of sleep, allow yourself to gently observe sounds both external, the hum of your home distant traffic, and internal, the lingering echoes of your thoughts. Don't try to identify them or analyze them or push them away. Simply acknowledge them as they arise and pass, and then with each slow, soft exhale, gently release your attachment to them. Embrace the profound void that exists between the sounds, the boundless peaceful silence that underpins all auditory experience. Allow this great silence to wrap around you, to guide you effortlessly into deep, undisturbed, and profoundly restorative rest. You are listening to the very symphony of peace. As you listen deeply to the profound, resonant symphony of the great silence, allowing the vast stillness between sounds to envelop you, let's now turn our attention to the ultimate expression of voidness, its boundless capacity for creation. We journey now into the universe's infinite blank page, exploring how understanding this fundamental truth liberates us from creative blocks and unlocks a spontaneous, limitless wellspring of innovation. Imagine, if you will, the ubiquitous struggle of feeling creatively stuck. You've been there, haven't you? Staring at a blank document, a pristine canvas, an empty spreadsheet, or perhaps just the dawning emptiness of an upcoming project deadline. The pressure to produce, to generate brilliant ideas, to innovate, can be overwhelming. You feel limited by past successes, haunted by the fear of failure, or simply convinced you've run out of good ideas. It's like trying to squeeze juice from a very dry, very uncooperative stone. The ego, ever the demanding taskmaster, whispers, "You must create, you must be original, but also don't make any mistakes. And whatever you do, don't just stare blankly into space that's incredibly inefficient." This relentless pursuit often leads to creative blocks, where the very act of trying to force creativity stifles it, leaving you staring at that intimidating blank page, feeling utterly, exhaustingly empty. Zen, with its profound understanding of how reality truly functions, offers a radical, liberating insight. Voidness is the ultimate source of limitless creativity. It's not a scary emptiness to be filled. Oh no, it's the unmanifested potential, the boundless space from which all forms arise, all ideas spontaneously emerge, all masterpieces unfold. A truly empty mind, empty of fixed concepts, rigid expectations, and the relentless chatter of the ego, is not a barren wasteland. It is the most fertile, most expansive ground for innovation and spontaneous, brilliant ideas. The universe itself is an infinite blank page, constantly creating, constantly transforming, constantly expressing itself in boundless forms. And we, as part of that universe, are inherently connected to that very same creative potential. It's like realizing that the very air you breathe is the canvas for every word ever spoken, every song ever sung. The humor in this concept is often immediate and wonderfully self-deprecating, particularly when your ego is confronted with the idea of a blank page as a source of anything good. Your internal monologue might spin into a frantic, exasperated comedy routine, a blank page. But I need structure, I need inspiration, I need a carefully pre-approved outline. This infinite potential sounds suspiciously like overwhelming indecision and existential dread, and my ego hates indecision. Am I supposed to just sit here and be void until genius strikes? What if it never does? What if my void is just really, really empty and nothing ever happens? Will I get fired for mindful contemplation instead of actual work? It's the delightful absurdity of trying to force creativity to schedule spontaneity, or to believe that inspiration comes from a fixed external source rather than arising from the vast open space of your own mind. Here lies the profound paradox of creation. True creativity, genuine innovation, and effortless inspiration arise not from frantically trying to fill an empty space with sheer effort, but from allowing ideas, insights, and solutions to spontaneously emerge from the boundless void of pure potential. The emptier the mind is of fixed notions, of attachment to specific outcomes, of fear of failure, the fuller the creative well becomes. It's like a sculptor who first sees the empty space within the block of marble, allowing the form to reveal itself rather than trying to hammer a predetermined shape into it. When your mind is clear, unburdened by mental clutter, the subtle whispers of intuition, the sudden flashes of insight, and the effortless flow of ideas can finally be perceived, transforming the dawning blank page into an exciting invitation. Practically speaking, how does this understanding transform your relationship with creativity and innovation? It profoundly reduces creative blocks because you no longer believe you need to generate ideas from scratch in a vacuum. You simply need to create the internal space for them to arise. It fosters genuine innovation because you are less bound by past successes or conventional thinking. It liberates you from the crippling fear of mistakes because in the boundless void, every failure is simply a passing form, an opportunity for redirection, a chance to create something anew. It encourages playfulness, experimentation, and a deep, intuitive, trusting relationship with the creative process, knowing that the most brilliant ideas often emerge when you least expect them from a place beyond conscious striving. You become a conduit for creativity rather than its burdened producer. Remember our intrepid desert fish facing an apparent void of conventional resources. No rushing rivers, no vast oceans it doesn't despair. Its ingenious survival strategies, its ability to find moisture where others see only arid land, its constant adaptation and transformation, like burrowing into the sand or absorbing dew, arise precisely from its inherent ability to respond to the blank page of its extreme environment. It sees potential where others see only lack. Its remarkable ingenuity and its very existence are a testament to its profound, void like adaptability, its capacity to create its own reality, anew moment by moment, from what appears to be nothing. Its ingenuity comes from its void like freedom. Now, as you prepare to sink deeper into the embrace of sleep, allow yourself to gently release any creative blocks, any mental burdens, any pressure to figure things out or be brilliant. Embrace the profound blank page of your mind as a sacred space for effortless rest and spontaneous renewal. Imagine your mind as a vast clear canvas, utterly empty, yet infinitely receptive. Don't try to force any thoughts or ideas. Simply allow your mind to settle into that spaciousness, knowing that within this quiet void, all possibilities reside. Allow yourself to drift effortlessly into deep inspiration-rich sleep, where new ideas may gently unfold, unbidden, from the boundless wellspring of your own inner wisdom. As you open yourself to the boundless creative potential of the universe's infinite blank page feeling, inspiration arise from the quiet, unburdened depths of your mind. Let's bring our journey full circle. We transition now to the most intimate, most immediate, and perhaps most cherished application of Zen's profound wisdom of voidness drifting into voidless sleep. This isn't just about unwinding after a long day. It's about applying the very essence of Zen stillness to unlock the deepest, most restorative sleep your body and mind can possibly experience. You know the drill, don't you? The day finally winds down. You climb into bed. The covers feel soft. The pillows are perfectly fluffed, And just when you crave that sweet, blissful surrender to slumber, your mind decides to host an impromptu high energy and often completely nonsensical jazz concert. It's a relentless symphony of to do lists, clamoring for attention replays of awkward conversations from last Tuesday, with that Tuesday always anxieties about tomorrow's colossal deadlines, and perhaps a sudden, inexplicable, urgent need to recall the precise lyrics to a forgotten 80s pop song you haven't thought of in decades. Sleep, which should arrive as naturally and effortlessly as the setting sun, often feels like a highly elusive, highly demanding, utterly uncooperative guest. You try to force it. You wrestle with your thoughts. You check the clock repeatedly, each tick a tiny hammer blow against your peace. And the more you try to sleep, the more awake, more frustrated, more wide eyed you seem to become. It's the ultimate sleep paradox, isn't it? The harder you chase it, the faster it runs away, like a mischievous desert fox darting just out of reach, leaving you panting and bewildered in its elusive wake. Your mind becomes a perpetual committee meeting of worries and regrets, a hamster wheel of thought that seems impossible to step off. Zen, however, with its profound simplicity and its radical, almost cheeky insight, offers a powerful gift for this pervasive modern dilemma, the cultivation of stillness, or more profoundly, the embrace of voidness as the direct pathway to sleep. It's not about actively doing anything to fall asleep, because sleep, like true wisdom or genuine happiness, cannot be forced. Instead, it's about undoing all the mental and physical tension, all the unconscious clinging and grasping, all the frantic effort that prevents sleep from arriving naturally. Imagine your mind as a glass of muddy water. Your immediate instinct, when you desire clear water, might be to vigorously stir it, to actively clear it, to force the sediment away. But that, as you know, only makes it murkier, swirling the sediment even more frantically. Zen teaches us to simply let the glass sit. The mud will inevitably slowly, gently, patiently settle to the bottom, leaving clear water above. Your mind, when left undisturbed, when allowed to simply be in its fundamental voidness, will naturally settle into the profound stillness required for deep, effortless sleep. It's about becoming aware of the quiet that is always there beneath the surface noise of the day, waiting patiently for your effortless return. The humor in trying to achieve this Zen like stillness, this profound voidness for sleep, is something we've all experienced, often with a frustrated, self deprecating chuckle. You lie there utterly determined to clear your mind, to attain that serene, thoughtless void, and suddenly your brain decides to showcase its entire highlight reel of embarrassing moments from the past decade, perhaps even in slow motion, complete with dramatic lighting and a swelling soundtrack. Just be still, you command yourself, eyes squeezed shut, muscles tensed with effort. Be like a Zen master on a mountaintop, no thoughts, empty mind, peaceful. And then your internal monologue kicks in with a vengeance. Is that my neighbor's cat? Did I remember to lock the back door? This stillness is actually quite loud. Oh, good grief, my foot is twitching. Maybe I'm not doing Zen right. Am I too restless for enlightenment? Did I mention that awkward conversation from Tuesday already? Perhaps if I replay it one more time, I'll find a better retort. It's a delightful, often excruciating comedy of errors, isn't it? The ultimate paradox of trying to do stillness or voidness for sleep, when both are fundamentally about non-doing, about a profound and gentle surrender. This void is surprisingly busy. you might mentally exclaim. But the practice, though often amusingly challenging in its initial stages, is truly profound in its results. As you lie here now, feel your body nestled deeply into your bed. This is your personal, silent studio, the quiet stage where the demanding performance of the day has gracefully concluded, and now only restorative rest awaits your effortless arrival. Bring your full, gentle awareness to your breath, your ever present anchor. Don't try to change it, or force it, or judge it. Just observe the natural rhythm, the gentle, continuous rise and fall of your chest or abdomen. With each slow, soft inhale, feel a wave of tranquil calm wash over your body, spreading from your core outwards, softening every muscle. And with each exhale, imagine releasing any lingering tension, any worries, any thoughts that are still clinging to the edges of your awareness, letting them dissolve into the vast open space around you, like mist in the morning sun. Let your awareness drift with a soft, non judgmental gaze to your toes. Feel them softening, relaxing, letting go. Gently guide this wave of relaxation up to your feet, your ankles, releasing any tightness there, letting them sink. Allow the soothing wave to slowly, deliciously move up your calves, your knees, your thighs, your hips. Feel your legs becoming heavy, deeply comfortable, sinking effortlessly into the mattress. Now bring your attention to your abdomen, feeling it soften and expand gently with each breath. Release any lingering tightness in your lower back, your mid back, your upper back. Imagine your spine elongating, creating precious space between each vertebra, and then gently settling into perfect, effortless alignment. Your chest is soft. Your shoulders are melting down, away from your ears, releasing their burdens. Feel your arms, your hands, your fingers becoming utterly heavy and deeply relaxed. Release any tension in your jaw, allowing your mouth to slightly open, your tongue to rest softly in your mouth. Your facial muscles are smooth. Your forehead is unfurrowed and completely relaxed. And now feel your entire scalp softening your hair, relaxing your whole head, heavy and supported by your pillow. If thoughts arise, and they surely will, don't engage with them. Don't try to push them away or frantically wrestle them into submission. Don't judge them or yourself for having them. Simply acknowledge them, perhaps with a gentle, knowing nod or a quiet, amused smile, and then with profound kindness, let's let them drift by like distant clouds across a vast and empty starlit sky. You are not your thoughts. You are the silent, expansive sky, always there, always still, always at peace. This very moment, this gentle, non-judgmental awareness is your most powerful tool for entering the deep, nurturing currents of sleep. It's that effortless surrender that Zen teaches, the ultimate release from the day's elaborate performance. Embrace the void of expectation, trusting that sleep will come naturally. Remember our resourceful desert fish. When the scorching sun gives way to the cooler, quiet night, it doesn't fight the urge to rest. Perhaps it instinctively burrows slightly into the cool, damp sand, finding its own quiet moments of stillness, trusting in the profound stillness of its environment to offer respite. It doesn't try to do anything to sleep. It simply is sleep in its deepest, most natural sense, surrendering to the wisdom of its own body, embracing the void of action for essential rejuvenation. This radical acceptance of what is, this gentle letting go of what is not, is the true key. You are not striving for sleep. You are allowing it. You are not fighting your thoughts. You are observing them with quiet detachment. You are not forcing your body to relax. You are simply allowing it to soften, surrendering to its natural inherent inclination towards rest. This profound stillness, cultivated through gentle awareness and compassionate non doing, is the silent studio that welcomes you night after night into the most profound and deeply restorative sleep. As you surrender to that profound stillness, allowing your body to settle deeply, effortlessly, into the promise of truly restorative sleep, let's bring our extraordinary journey to a close. We've plunged into the depths of a concept that has baffled philosophers and inspired mystics for millennia of voidness. We've discovered, often with a self deprecating chuckle, that understanding nothing might just be the quickest, most liberating path to understanding everything that brings you happiness. Now it's your turn. This wasn't just a series of stories, it's an open invitation to embrace your awakening, a voidly happy life. Think back to the shimmering threads we've woven tonight, each a facet of Zen's radiant wisdom illuminated by the truth of voidness. We began by understanding that voidness is not emptiness, but boundless potential, the very ground from which all things arise. We then saw how our empty cup of suffering is created by desperately trying to fill a perceived void that is already inherently full. We explored the illusion of the solid self, realizing our identity is a fluid river, not a fixed statue. This led us to understanding no thing as the true treasure, letting go of clinging to impermanent forms and finding freedom. We laughed at the paradoxical nature of voidness, where questions like the sound of one hand clapping challenge, our rigid logic pushing us towards intuitive understanding. We delved into the Zen master's empty stomach, learning how understanding voidness frees us from the tyranny of insatiable cravings. We savored the mindful muffin, voidless delight, embracing the impermanence of pleasure for richer experience. We saw the screen's true nature, realizing all phenomena are fleeting images on the vast, untouched canvas of awareness. This liberated us to let go of the story, recognizing our personal narratives as fluid, rewritable creations. We then discovered the mirror's true reflection, dissolving isolation by embracing profound interconnectedness. Our journey continued as we bravely ventured beyond the shadow of fear, confronting the void of control to dissolve deep-seated anxieties. We flowed with the river of identity, embracing the liberation from rigid labels and roles. We delighted in the cosmic giggle, confronting the ego's often absurd resistance to voidness with humor and compassion. We saw the empty stage of fame, understanding how even the most dazzling illusions are ultimately void, leading to true radiance. We journeyed along the unfixed path to wisdom, realizing there's no rigid roadmap, only spontaneous insight. We grappled with no problem, no solution, finding peace by redefining suffering not as a fixed problem, but as a transient experience. We listened deeply to the great silence's symphony, embracing the profound void between sounds for true hearing. And just before this, we marveled at the universe's infinite blank page, seeing voidness as the wellspring of limitless creativity and the freedom to create anew. Finally, we surrendered to drifting into voidless sleep, applying these insights for profound, effortless rest. Now bring all these luminous threads together, weaving them into the very fabric of your own unique existence. Your life right here, right now, in all its unique complexity, is your own unfolding spiritual masterpiece. You are the visionary director, the lead actor, the insightful screenwriter, and yes, even the discerning audience. Every choice you make, every breath you take, every moment you choose to be present and to see with the eyes of voidness is shaping this grand production. It won't always be a perfectly serene, illuminated Zen garden scene. Oh no. There will be inevitable internal bloopers, awkward dialogue, unexpected plot twists that derail your perfectly laid plans, and moments where you'll feel utterly bewildered, wondering if you even know your lines anymore. You might stumble on the red carpet of your own daily life, or accidentally utter something hilariously inappropriate during a quiet moment of introspection. That's perfectly okay. That's the messy, beautiful, wonderfully human reality of the Zen journey with voidness. It's not about achieving some unattainable perfection. It's about embracing the perfectly imperfect process with humor, self compassion, and a persistent, gentle curiosity that keeps you engaged. So, how do you direct your own voidly happy blockbuster starting tonight? It begins simply with a conscious breath. Right now, feel your breath. It's always there, your unwavering anchor in the present moment, your ever accessible access point to inner stillness, no matter where you are, what you're doing. Before you react to that next email, before you answer that phone call, before you dive headfirst into the next frantic task, take just one mindful breath, allowing it to expand into the voidness within you. Pause, notice, and then respond from a place of quiet clarity, not automatic stressed reaction. Practice gratitude for the small, often overlooked moments, the taste of your morning coffee, the warmth of the sun on your skin, the comfortable silence of your room, the perfectly mundane moments that often get lost in the frantic pursuit of the grand. Release judgment of yourself, of others, of the messy, sometimes bewildering unfolding of life, seeing their inherent voidness. When that familiar voice of ego whispers, "You're not good enough," or "You should be doing more," simply acknowledge it with a gentle, knowing smile, perhaps even a chuckle, and then gently release it, letting it float away like a tiny balloon into the boundless void. Remember that your empty cup is always already full, your infinite blank page is always waiting, and your solid self is always flowing. The profound beauty of this journey is that the extraordinary is found not in seeking something grand and distant, but in fully inhabiting the ordinary. Profound peace isn't hidden away in a secret, remote temple. It's in the quiet awareness you bring to doing the dishes, or walking down the street, or simply breathing. True happiness isn't found by relentlessly chasing external achievements, although those may well come as a natural byproduct. It's found in the deep understanding and acceptance of voidness in all things, in your own being, in others, in the world around you. It's about cultivating an inner landscape of unshakable peace, quiet resilience, and authentic being that allows you to engage with life from a place of deep strength, profound wisdom, and genuine, unforced joy. It's about being truly present for your own story, even when it's unscripted, gloriously messy, and wonderfully unpredictably real. Just like our incredible desert fish, whose entire arduous, unlikely journey was its own unique, unexpected masterpiece of adaptation, persistence, and finding life where seemingly none should exist, all through its inherent understanding and embrace of voidness. Your path is uniquely yours. It's a journey of continuous discovery, of letting go, of embracing the paradoxes, and of finding the extraordinary in the quiet courage of simply being. Now, as your body feels utterly heavy and profoundly at peace, allow these insights to gently settle deep within you. There's nothing left to do, nowhere left to go, nothing left to achieve. Every breath now guides you deeper, effortlessly deeper, into the welcoming currents of profound rest. Feel your mind quieting, softening, dissolving into the vast open space of stillness that you have cultivated within your own being. Let go of any remaining thought, any last whisper of the day, any lingering need to control or understand. Surrender completely to this moment, allowing your body to sink fully gently into the deepest, most restorative sleep. You are safe, you are at peace, you are complete. Tonight we embarked on an extraordinary journey, unveiling the profound truth of voidness and how understanding it is the key to genuine happiness. We learned that voidness isn't emptiness, but boundless potential, liberating us from the suffering of endless striving and the illusion of a fixed self. We explored how this radical insight dissolves our clinging to external things and personal narratives, revealing a deep interconnectedness that melts isolation and fear. Through paradox and humor, we confronted the ego's resistance, embraced the wisdom in the no problem approach, and found limitless creativity in the universe's blank page. This Zen understanding redefines our relationship with life's challenges, leading to unshakable peace. As you now drift into profound restorative sleep, remember that your own life is a unique spiritual awakening continuously unfolding. Embrace your inherent voidness for deep rest, authentic well-being, and a truly voidly happy life, finding peace and joy in every unscripted moment.